The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
Wait till you hear what Todd McShay said he believes the Jets, based on his intel, are likely going to do with pick number 7. It will blow your mind. My mind is blown. We'll talk about that and much more. It's the Jake Asman Show. Let's hit it and get it started.
Man, our Jets are primed to win another offseason, baby.
I wanted this job. Put your seatbelts on and get ready for the ride. And I'm ready for it. It's all about the Jets. This is bigger than me. I look forward to this. We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
We bleed Jets green each and every day. Will the playoff drought finally end? Kings of the offseason, baby. This is what we do. At least we have Garrett Wilson. We have Breece Hall. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super chats, baby. Cut the line. We have Sauce Gardner. We have Quinn Williams. Prepare to be underdogs. Now it's time to talk all things New York Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show.
Prepare for the draft party. It is in just 2 days. A few tickets are still available. Go fast. Go right now. Lock in your spot and join me, your favorite Jet feds, including Fireman Ed, for an awesome night of watching the Jets, Jets on the clock with pick number 7. Now, who will they take? We got some updates into what they might be thinking, and joining us right now to talk all things Jets is a good friend of the show, Dylan Tereman. Dylan, welcome aboard, my man. Appreciate you hopping on. And I know you already listened to this Todd McShay audio, so I don't want to waste any time because I hyped it up. I used the word bombshell in the title, and I stand by it. This was Todd McShay. Now, full disclosure, on his podcast, the entire thing was like 7 minutes long. Todd likes to ramble a little bit, so I edited it down for time purposes to get right to the details on McShay talking about specifically what he believes the Jets will do with pick 7 based on what he has heard from his sources around the league.
I'm hearing with the Jets, okay? I'm hearing that it could be edge. It could be Jadai Baron. Also now Mason.
Jadai Baron.
I know, which is a surprise, but not from my grade.
Not from the tape.
Not from the tape.
Nope.
And who's your head coach?
Aaron Glenn, yep.
A feisty SOB, right?
Yes.
And what's Jadai Baron?
Yes.
So
and he's a multiple guy. He can do a lot of different things for you on defense. Yeah.
Right. But Mason Graham's there. I'm just saying. So that part's fascinating.
Yeah. I'm buying.
Okay, let me give you this information that I'm getting, and then you try to put the.
I'm buying what you're
together.
selling, I think, but go ahead.
So if I were to tell you that Warren is in play, but this is just like with Liam Cohen. This is the information I'm getting. Just like with Liam Cohen in Jacksonville. Offensive coach comes in, let's get him a weapon. This is Aaron Glenn. Defensive coach comes in. Yeah, we've drafted first rounders in 2 of the last 3 or 4 years with Joe Douglas.
Right.
At edge. We've drafted those guys, and we got good edges, but you can't get enough pass rushers.
Right.
But pass rushers include Mason Graham as well.
Okay.
To a certain degree.
I hear you.
And the interior
of
of their defense is not it's Quinnen, but they need more. Watch them last year versus the run. But also, while edge, and I think Graham would be in consideration, this Jadai Baron news is out.
It's interesting.
It's very interesting.
What do you think?
I think there's a reason we're hearing Baron.
Yeah.
Let's for this sake give him Baron because it also could be tight end. Let's give him Baron because I want to go through the run of the edges after. But
for this exercise,
but,
yeah, for the sake of this exercise.
But if you're a Jets fan, like what I'm telling you is Warren is in play, but it's much more likely at this point, based off my information, that it's going to be a defensive player. I have not had the conversation about Mason Graham, but Mason Graham was not maybe expected to be there, okay? So don't rule him out. What we're also telling you is we got some edge rushers here, starting with Michael. I don't think it's going to be Shamar Stewart, okay?
Okay.
For other organizations, yes. I don't think with this one.
Okay. Could you see a Mike Green They've gone with smaller.
Not at this point. I think it's Michael. Honestly, I think Edge is in play because Jalen Walker could fall to them.
Okay.
And I think the expectation, because everyone in the world, remember the conversation I had? Stop with the narrow-minded thinking. Start thinking outside the box.
Right.
Don't be like the rest of them, said the GM to me.
Mm-hmm.
But it also could be.
I can roll with that.
I don't think. I think it would be Walker if he's there. I think Graham would be in play. I think Tyler Warren would be in play. But let's give him Jadai Baron.
It doesn't feel like Warren, does it?
I know they really like him, but it doesn't feel like Warren.
Okay.
Just like the Liam Cohen in Jacksonville. It does. They really like Mason Graham. It would make sense, but it doesn't feel like that's
right.
the way it's going. Okay.
Dylan, a lot was said there. But to me, the biggest takeaway is Todd McShay saying that based on what he has heard, his conversations with people around the league, he thinks the Jets are going to take a defensive player at number 7. He listed a bunch of defensive players, but the only mention of an offensive player was briefly, they like Warren, but it doesn't feel like Tyler Warren's going to be the pick for them at 7. This concerns me greatly. Your thoughts as someone who studies all these guys year-round?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, we need a word count on Todd to like actually get to the point. Like, how many words was that to say a lot of nothing? What's up, chat, by the way? I see you guys in here. Yeah, man, this is a lot of names. As I was kind of just jotting down as he was going the top 10, it's like one name for the first 5 picks, very chalk-like, right? And then he gets to 6, and he's like, it could be OT or Edge, Jalen Walker or Membu. And I was like, okay, well, they probably take Membu if he's assuming defense for the Jets. And they're like, no, let's go Jalen Walker to the Raiders at 6. So I was like, great, this is Armand Membu, in my opinion, and I'm not even thinking about Mason Graham still being on the board. And all of a sudden, he's like, I think this is going to be Michael, maybe Jadai Baron. But wait, Graham's on the board and Warren's on the board and Membu's on the board, but we're not going to talk about Membu. Like, why are we just ruling out Membu right away? So it was very, wordy and a lot of jumbled, and I'm just trying to cross off names and write names as he's talking. A lot of the names I like, though. Like, I would love Mason Graham at 7. I would love Michael or Shamar at 7 even. I understand the need for offense, and I think you put an onus on the second and third round if you don't go Warren or Membu here. I can live in a world where they go defense. It's just not Jadai Baron. Like, I get it. He's a good player. He's a scrappy player, probably that Brian Branch adjacent type player that AG found in Detroit. But why would you take that guy at 7? Like maybe at 42, you can go look for that type of player. So to me, it just felt like real risky to take a Baron. And I get the connection. He's a corner. He's a feisty SOB, like Todd McShay said. And I think they would get along in the meeting rooms. Don't get me wrong. But of all the names he said there, Baron would be last of all of them. Michael, Shamar, Warren, Graham, Membu, all ahead of Baron. So for that to come out of left field, I'm hoping it's just too much smoke for us to handle. And maybe Todd McShay has just been hanging out with Ricky NY and weed the people a little bit too much.
Well, I mean, it's worth noting McShay is talking about Baron. Schefter is talking about Baron. Albert Breer mentioned Baron in the Jets last week. There hasn't been a whole lot of Jets and Jalen Walker. They have done a lot of work on Mason Graham. They had him in for a top 30 visit. They met with him at the Combine. They took him out to dinner before his pro day. If I'm ranking what I think the Jets would do, I actually believe a lot of this. I think if Mason Graham makes it to 7, which feels like there's a legit chance it's going to happen, I think they take Graham over Warren or Membu at this point. I think they'll say best player available. They think this guy is unbelievable. They'll put him in their defense and say, we could put him in the perfect spot next to Quinnen Williams. We think we can make the scheme fit work. Like, that's my feeling now, 2 days out. I was hoping for an offensive player. I was hoping for Tyler Warren or Armand Membu. But there's just too much smoke out there unless it's a total smokescreen, which I guess it could be, but I'm not buying it. I think the Jets are leaning defense, and I think if Mason Graham is there, he's the pick at 7. That's my new thought as of, 2 hours ago, really thinking about it and going through it.
Yeah, that was my kind of prevailing thoughts going into free agency, and I was expecting them to attack the defensive line heavily. So coming out of free agency, I didn't really have a different mindset as far as who my number 1 guy is. If he made it to the Jets at 7, I felt like there was a 15% chance, even up till last week. Now, all of a sudden, we're hearing these, and maybe Todd McShay is just getting fed bad information, but McMillan at 5, and then a edge versus offensive tackle at 6. Like, this is a dream for the Jets to get Mason Graham to fall to 7. I'd never put a full grade on Genty or Hunter because I felt like they were never going to be in the range for the Jets. So if you took those two guys out, Mason Graham is the third highest grade for me on my board behind Abdul Carter and Will Campbell. So to me, this is like a run the card up type of pick. I know they had the 30 visit with him, just a super twitched up player. I know the short arms are going to be a big thing. But, you let a guy like this slip to the, even 9, 10, 11, 12 round, 12th pick, and everybody's going to be looking back like, why the hell did this happen on draft night? So I hope the Jets kind of stop the run if it is going to happen. So Mason Graham would be my number one in a perfect scenario world for the Jets. Absolutely.
And that's just based on best player, right? Because the bigger need on this team feels like it's tackle or tight end.
Yeah, if you're just going based on my just film grade, I just grade them on film and I stack them up in a box. And then if I have ties, like for example, Armand Membu and Cam Ward both get an 86.5 grade for me. In my opinion, Cam Ward is going to get the edge because he's a quarterback and he's going to get that bump over Membu. Whereas Shedeur Sanders and Tyler Warren both have an 85 grade for me. Again, Shedeur Sanders gets the bump up over Tyler Warren. And that's kind of why Tyler Warren keeps dropping down my boards, because for all the people that have 85s or projecting to get an 85 from me, they're all better positions of need or premium positions like edge or tackle or what have you. So that to me is kind of why Tyler Warren is slipping, although I totally understand and I would love to see the offense with Fields throwing to a guy like Tyler Warren.
So here's my thing with Graham. He's obviously an outstanding player. I question some of the scheme fit. I would prefer to see if the Jets can maybe still trade back and if someone else wants him. That's just me looking at it from a wider lens, team building perspective, the amount of picks I believe the Jets need to actually overhaul this roster. But I could live with Graham for the reasons you outlined. Some of the other names mentioned, whether it be Baron, who doesn't have a true position in my mind. We're saying he's a corner. We're saying he's a little bit of a safety. When they've already invested in Michael Carter long-term, they're about to pay Sauce Gardner $100 million. They invested in Brandon Stevens in free agency, gave him a way bigger contract than anyone thought. To me, that would make absolutely no sense. I will blow my mind if they take Baron on draft night. The other players that are mentioned, right? Shamar Stewart, I know you like him. To me, it's too much of a project for the Jets to take at 7. But your thoughts on Jalen Walker, Mykel Williams, because those guys definitely could also be in play if we're talking about defensive player and best player available. They might have those guys as the BPA when they're on the clock at number 7, higher than Membu, higher than Warren, and that will be their justification for selecting those players. So break down the other names that McShay mentioned there, because once again, if you're tuning in, Todd McShay is as connected to anyone. He believes the New York Jets are taking a defensive player at number 7.
Yeah, I mean, and Jadai Baron is getting top 10 grades from people. But when you are the Jets, it's more of an embarrassment of riches and allocation resource perspective. You just don't. What is he your 3rd/4th corner? Are you putting him as your safety? I don't really want to draft a guy and immediately move him to safety if we're picking him at 7. So yeah, I agree. It makes it hard to justify that pick. Mykel, just a big edge. I mentioned the Texas game earlier. He's just a game wrecker. I want to say he had 2.5 sacks, including one of the most crushing strip sacks of Quinn Ewers I've ever seen. And they were just all over him in that game. And that immediately proved to me these guys are worth 1st-round grades, especially in this draft class. Him versus Jalen Walker, obviously a little different. Jalen Walker is a smaller type. He's an off-ball linebacker first, and then he plays on the edge. I do like him. It's weird because you have Will McDonald and it's he's more of your situational pass rusher. So Jalen Walker might be your second version of a situational pass rusher. And then you still need to get a big defensive end to replace Michael Clemens. I look at Michael Clemens as the number 1 guy. I don't want to see the Jets, trot out there in 55-60% of their defensive looks. So Mykel Williams would be more of the size 1-to-1 replacement for Clemens, but I didn't know that the Jets were apparently in love with him this much with Jalen Walker, but you understand it when you have those uncoachable traits with him, the twitched up ability. So yeah, if anybody's on the fence about these guys, I say go watch the regular season Texas game, because Texas stood no chance. And you're talking about guys that they have 3 draftable offensive linemen this year. I don't know about their future classes, but their left tackle, their center, and their right tackle are all coming out in this draft. So you're talking about NFL quality prospects they're going up against, and Quinn Ewers just didn't have a chance. So I would say put on that game. There was Shamar Stewart. Yeah, Shamar Stewart, to me, I think he's like he's not Aiden Hutchinson, but his motor and his effort is just unmatched. And I saw him at the Senior Bowl. So I think the Senior Bowl, when you get your eyes on a guy, I didn't think that this would have too much of a impact on my ability to scout and grade a player. But when I saw him at the Senior Bowl and his ability to just destroy everybody, it really didn't matter who was lined up against him. I kind of prioritized him over some of the other guys. His film at Texas A&M isn't great, but I don't think it's great for any of those defensive linemen. Scorton, kind of the same thing. And I'm not a huge college X's and O's type. Maybe like an Andrew Fialco could tell you more of how they were used at A&M, but I just don't think it was right. And Iowa State did the same thing with Will McDonald. They put him in at a 4-eye, weighing 230 pounds. He was inside the tackle. Like, it wasn't conducive for him to win. And I just feel the same way about Shamar Stewart. So, yeah, the 4.5 sacks is not a good look, but I kind of lean toward the uncoachable stuff. And he's probably realistically a trade down candidate for me. I don't think he's even getting mocked until late teens. So maybe you can finesse the board that way. But to me, just the traits alone, I know the 10 RAS score, that to me makes Shamar Stewart more of a priority on my list.
The expert consensus board has Jalen Walker as the 7th rated player.
Mm-hmm.
It has, it has Michael Williams, the 19th rated player, Shamar Stewart, the 20th rated player, whereas Graham is number 3. So the only defensive player I could justify the Jets taking at 7, to me, is Graham. Now,
yes,
maybe the Jets are better at the draft than anyone else. We'll find out with Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji, but I don't like it. I think this would be overthinking it. You have a glaring need at right tackle. You have a glaring need for a pass catcher. It happens to be a year where tight ends are really good and the receivers aren't as deep and as star-driven as, let's say, a year ago. To me, it should be tackle or Warren or Mason Graham if he's there. I don't like bringing in these other edge rushers. It's a premium position, but they've addressed it. They have Jermaine Johnson. They have Will McDonald. You're paying Quinnen Williams already a fortune. I just don't think it's smart team building to do that. And don't even get me started on Baron. Baron might be a really good player. At 7, I'm leaving my own draft party if they take him at 7. I mean, what a disgrace.
I think the one thing that Todd said that I didn't agree with almost whatsoever from a team building perspective is new offensive coaches want offensive weapons and new defensive coaches want defensive weapons. I get it. Like, on the surface, that's almost like an obvious thing. But if you're a defensive coach, if you're Aaron Glenn and Steve Wilkes, and we have more of our experience on the defensive side of the ball, you have your developmental coaches that are able to get the best out of players probably on your defensive side of the ball. Why would you go and take your premium assets to that side of the ball? So I can play the devil's advocate for sure and say, go get as many top line offensive players for your staff and quarterback that are a complete unknown, and then allow Steve Wilkes and AG to go develop those Jamie and Sherwood, Michael Carter types in the day 3 picks. So I'm totally, trying to leave myself open. But if you're looking at just true value on the board, I do think the defensive guys are going to be prioritized.
Well, you know what's interesting too? It's like, oh, well, Aaron Glenn, he played corner, so that means he's going to take back. It's like, if Aaron Glenn's the head football coach of the New York Jets, then he needs to be thinking about the entire football team and not the defensive side of the ball. This was the mistake Rex got into as well, where they overloaded on defensive players, which gets you, the Quentin Copels and Kyle Wilsons of the world in the first round. I mean, I'm already nervous about this. I'm not going to sit there and lie. I already am. Like, the last couple of years have beaten me down rooting for this team. First-year coach, first-year general manager, and if they start this off by reaching for a defensive player at 7, I'm going to lose my mind. It doesn't make sense. This is not how to build your football team, but this is the approach.
Yeah, I laid out a couple scenarios, blind scenarios for BJF last night on our show. And this scenario, I started with Shamar Stewart, but I'll put the name Mason Graham because in this exercise he was there. Would it change your mind if they got Mason Graham, 2nd round, they got Ariante Ursary, 3rd round, Jalen Knoll from Iowa State, 4th round, Gunnar Helm? They attack all those 4 positions, both trenches, both pass catchers, just in a different order. But because you get that guy of Mason Graham, who probably wasn't supposed to be there, does that kind of influence you if they do go offense the next 3 picks?
They better go offense the next 3 picks, because Graham, to me, while he's an awesome player, we don't know if he's a great scheme fit. And it feels like it's a luxury pick given the fact that they've invested heavily on that side of the ball. So, like, if you're going to take Graham, you then can't take a safety on day 2 or a quarterback, let's say, on day 2. It's like that. Like, to me, he's the only defensive player that I could justify at 7 just based on looking at all the big boards from the people who study it, put their list together, and then this consensus board takes the average of what Jeremiah has, McShay has, Kuiper, Connor Rogers. They have everyone's averages incorporated. Taking a player ranked 20 at 7 on a consensus board, to me, is crazy talk.
Yeah. And where do they have Jadai Baron? I know you said where Graham and all the other 3 guys are, but where did they have Baron?
Baron on the consensus board is
13.
No, he's further down. Hold on.
Okay. Yeah.
He's 17.
Okay. Yep.
That's his final ranking, but so his final ranking was 17. His average, though, was 19.4. So, it depends how you want to look at it.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's probably some people that have him as a top 10 grade. And I know McShay said that based on the film he did. So it's just interesting. I didn't know where they had him, but I assumed it was going to be teens to possibly early 20s. So yeah, you're looking at a major reach if it's not Mason Graham, which to me, again, this is a run the card up pick. Mason Graham, even Armand Membu, I think is a run the card up type of pick. I'm more trenches over weapons because I prioritize, getting to the weapon later, I think, but you have to finesse it and you have to thread the needle, which we haven't seen them do yet. So that's where the anxiety definitely sets in.
There's a comment here from Jersey Jet who doesn't understand how this works. He goes, "You can't be serious, Jake. You're putting on a show, right? Who would tell the media their pick? No one's telling the media their pick. Todd McShay has sources all around the league. He talks to other GMs. He talks to scouts. Word gets out. Why do you think the betting odds change so rapidly and they're right the day of? Because word leaks out. And McShay has been doing this for years. He talks to GMs constantly. Joe Douglas tried to hire Todd McShay to his front office. All right, that's how highly thought of Todd McShay is by NFL general managers, that Joe Douglas offered him a job and Todd turned him down. So when he says it, it carries weight because he's been right with a lot of what he has said. Same thing with Daniel Jeremiah and some of the other people who do this and talk to teams. So it's not just McShay's talking about Baron now. Schefter had it yesterday. Breer had it last week. There's smoke to this. This is not just BS. I think he is certainly in play at 7, and I would be really, really upset, and I'd question this regime immediately if their first big move at pick 7 is to take a corner with an undefined position. Like, where would you play him if they took him at 7, Dylan?
I'm probably moving Stevens to safety, and I'm doing that. And I don't like doing that. I feel like that's, not conducive to good team building, is to just immediately move a guy you paid $12 million to a different position, although he's played that position. But yeah, it's like, I don't want to see Jadai Baron play safety because now you've not wasted, but you've allocated a top 10 pick to a safety. And that to me is, I get it. We kind of harped on the last regime not doing it, but like, we don't need to overcorrect the mistake to that degree. We can go find a 3rd round safety from Penn State maybe and have that guy plug and play. So it definitely makes it harder. And just to like double down on Jersey Jet's comments, who would tell the media their pick? If the pick was Membu or Warren, this has been telegraphed since pre-combine, right, Jake? So like, are we a leaky ship? Are we not? Like, if the pick is the pick that it's supposed to be for the last 2 months, does that mean that they tell the media their pick, or they just guess what the Jets knew or very transparent right away in their needs? So if they go with a guy like Michael, I think that'd be somebody that nobody really was on the beaten path for, except for McShay in this little bit where he kind of teased it.
God, I hope they trade back. Because then even if they take one of these players, I could, in my head, be like, well, they got extra picks. Maybe they have an extra 2nd rounder to address offense there. It's like, if they take Baron or Shamar. I know you like Shamar. I just think it's such a, he smells like, I smell the Vernon Golston on him from here. All right. I'm very nervous about Shamar Stewart at 7.
That's completely fair, dude. I totally get it. And I think once you trade back, dude, the names open up. Like, there's like 30 names that enter the conversation. And I believe it was Schefter's Intel article yesterday, but there was a little sentence in there that most teams say that player 10 to player 32 is so close that it's splitting hairs. So if you don't feel conviction about a guy at pick 7 and all your blue chippers are gone, you're deciding between a red chip guy like maybe Tyler Warren and, even like an Ashton Jeanty, if there's even the possibility to trade down, I think you have to explore it this year and just open yourself up to names that maybe pick 13 is not much different than pick 24 when it comes to where teams value them on your board. So I do think if you don't have conviction, you got to try your best to finesse the board and maybe come away with 10 picks. That's a thing Rick Spielman loves to do. In his time in Minnesota, they almost always had double-digit picks, and right now we have 8. So you trade back out of 7, or even if you trade out of 42, you can at least acquire a couple more picks to give yourself more flexibility to round out your roster.
I just don't think they need to overthink this. Like, I'm looking at this consensus board, right? Mason Graham, pick 3, number 3 rated overall player. I get it. Armand Membu is 5 on this with an average grade of 7. Like,
yeah,
he fits a glaring need. You watch his film, he's a run grader. He's tough. He's exactly the type of player I thought Aaron Glenn was all about. I don't know why they'd overthink it if he's there and they want to go offensive lineman.
Yeah, and why did Todd McShay rule him out almost immediately when his co-host, who I'm aligning with him, he said, I want to attack the offensive line. And McShay's like,
Mensch,
oh, no,
I
it's
think
not.
is Mechie.
Okay.
All right, I'm trying to remember McShay's
I think he called him
name.
Mensch or something like that. Yeah, I didn't want to get his name wrong, but I was in alignment with him. Go offensive line, and McShay immediately was like, no, Membu's not on the list here.
Steve Mensch.
Steve Mensch, okay. But like, wouldn't Membu be like priority 1 or 1B for most Jets fans here? So to just hear him disregard Membu in that aspect was kind of weird for me.
I mean, just take Membu and call it a day, or take Warren.
Yeah.
Like, can we be fun? Can we take a good weapon for once?
Yeah, because you could take Armand Membu, come back in the second round, get Tyleik Williams, which I know has been like the telegraphed number 1 and 2 pick for the Jets. But then you can get Terrence Ferguson in the 3rd round and Dante Thornton in the 4th round. That's just a scenario. Like, I don't know. I like doing the trenches first, because if you go Warren and then you go like Jaden Higgins in the 2nd round, you're left with Charles Grant as your potential right tackle of the future. So when you get to that scenario, you get a little lost on me, but take your offensive tackle in the first 2 rounds. And I think for me, I'll definitely be very calm on this show Friday night.
Oh, baby. Hit the like button if you're just tuning in, even if you don't like the idea of the Jets eyeing a defensive player with the number 7 pick. Our raffle this week, this will get people excited. A signed Justin Fields helmet, a signed Aaron Glenn helmet, which I'll light on fire if they take Baron at number 7, a signed Curtis Martin helmet, a signed DeBrickashaw Ferguson helmet. The top 4 prizes in this week's mega raffle for the NFL draft. The first person that gifted a membership on the show was Marcus Clark, who was in the raffle for 5. Here is a live look at me to everyone at our draft party if the Jets take a corner at number 7.
You get the fuck out.
Party's over. Here we go. Jetta, Buttercup, Pat Rich, Zoink Nation, Astro is off the chain, and Extinguish the Guilt, the 5 listeners who are now channel members, thanks to Marcus Clark for paying it forward. Comments, questions, super chats, cut the line.
I do have a comment I want to address. Oh, sorry, Boomtown. Australian Jet fan said, "Who's BJF? Is that like me but B grade?" No. BJF is Buffalo Jet fan. He's a great content guy. I would recommend checking him out. Australia. I know we have an AJF and now a BJF, but no, he's a good guy.
Let's see. Let's check in with Boomtown, who says, "Baron, what happens when our guys don't turn out to be the right guys? Pink slips for GM and coach." And we stay stuck in limbo with another classic Jets draft pick. Yeah, I mean, when you do things like this, you put a target on your back as far as the timeline. Like, if they take Membu and it doesn't work, that's not going to get you fired. You take Baron at 7 and he sucks, that is going to be used against you in a major way on the resume, you know?
Yeah. You could justify if a trench player doesn't work. Like you said, if Membu doesn't pan out to be the best right tackle in all of football and you still have the option to kick him inside to guard, you could do the same thing with an edge. It takes a couple years for those guys to kind of kick in, in the league. Sometimes like Odafe Owe from the Ravens, he wasn't very productive. And then all of a sudden kind of came on in year 3 and 4. And now he might be looking for a new home. But yeah, man, you take a guy like Jadai Baron and you don't know what to do with him, or you put him in the wrong position, and then you are kind of just playing, rotate the chairs on the Titanic in your defensive secondary. You're going to be chasing that pick like Joe Douglas was chasing the Mekhi Becton pick, and you're constantly going to try to be replenishing and allocating assets to fix your mistakes. So you can always sell me on taking the premium position and it not working out, but justifying it over a corner, tight end, even a wide receiver. In my opinion, you take a wide receiver at 7 and he's just garbage. I feel like it's hard to come back from, because you were now asking him to probably be a 700+ yard receiver in his first year because of where you took him. So the expectations too definitely will create a problem there if he's not a good player.
Quick programming note. I'm doing radio tomorrow. I'm filling in for Michael K from 1 to 3 on ESPN New York. It will be on 10:50 a.m. only. So you got to listen on the app or 10:50 a.m. because the Mets, we're the flagship for the Mets. They have a day game. Yankees have a day game. So I'm filling in for Michael, who's in Cleveland calling it. So listen to me. Connor Rogers, Jet fans, will join me, and Damian Woody. So a lot of Jet draft talk on the show from 1 to 3 tomorrow, ESPN New York, 10:50 a.m. or the ESPN New York app. Huge shout out to David Atkins, who gifted not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 channel memberships.
We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
David is coming to the draft party. Here are the 5 people who just got a channel membership because of David's nice gesture. Papa Jet, Daz Acoustif, Florida Man of Culture, Charleston Jetsrube, all receiving a channel membership there from David. Keep the memberships coming. I could smell memberships falling from the trees here on the show today. Rico writes in, how much do we expect from Jermaine coming off the Achilles tear? And who do we have behind Will McDonald? 1 injury away from having last year's UDFA starting right now. It's low-key a serious need. I agree with you, Rico. I'm not saying edge is not a need. I think they could address it at some point in the draft. What I'm saying is addressing it at 7 when you have glaring needs on offense and your head coach is defensive-minded. Your defensive coordinator is supposed to be one of the best in the league and has proven to have a really good track record in Steve Wilkes. Like, how much talent do you need on defense to at least be competent there? They have enough. Like, the focus of this draft, unless Mason Graham stays there at 7 and the talent's too good to pass up, the focus in this draft should be, let's go out there and address the offense and fix our lack of weapons, fix our lack of a right tackle, fix our lack of a tight end or receiver too. Like, they have so many more needs there. I'm not saying neglect the defense completely, but if you're going to take a corner when it's not a need on your team at 7, you completely lost me if you're Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn.
Yeah, and I agree with his original point about what to expect from Jermaine. We probably have about 1.5 game-ready edges for the first half of the season while Jermaine is still rehabbing to get back to 100%. But why do you have to take that guy at 7 necessarily? Like, I'll advocate against my own thinking. Could you get a defensive tackle in round 3 like Joshua Farmer, or an edge player in round 4 like Ashton Gelati from Louisville? Like, you don't have to take the first opportunity to fill that hole, because there's going to be 6 or 7 different players you could say, okay, let's go fill that hole. But then you get down into round 3 or 4 and you're probably like, shit, did we need to take that guy? Because look who's here, Jamari Caldwell at defensive tackle. So there's so many different ways to play it this year. I just think you put more of you have to finesse the board if you don't go a certain way in round 1. Like, if you go Tyler Warren in round 1, I think you have to finesse the rest of the draft almost perfectly to get your trench players and your wide receivers. Whereas I think you can make up for it if you didn't start attacking the tight end position until round 3. So that's just kind of my thinking there. But yeah, you have to realize it's more than one round. Whatever they get in round 1 is not going to make everybody happy. And it doesn't mean that they're completely ignoring all the other holes. We have to see how it plays out. But a lot of threading the needle this offseason and schematically with their quarterback, realistically. So a lot of things have to fall in place for the Jets to really hit the ground running.
Can they just find a trade partner? Please move
11
back
with San Fran, even if they want Membu.
Let's go. Let them give us a bunch of picks. They have a ton of them. There's a path there. Be smart. use the draft to your advantage. The Niners are tied with the Ravens for the most amount of draft capital. They have 11 total picks, including 2 third-rounders. They flipped me a third-rounder, and they have 2 fourths and 2 fifths. Give me a third and a fourth, and we'll let you come up from 11 to 7. Oh, I'm in. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, 100%. And then you can package those picks
to move back up.
2 4s, 2 5s, 2 6s. You can package a 4 and a 5 to get up in the third or whatever you need to do. So, yeah, I think there's plenty of ways to do it, and obviously having more draft picks will help. Unfortunately, 35 teams want to trade down on Thursday, but maybe a couple do end up trading down. Like if the Patriots or the Steelers rather call me from 21 to 7, I'm probably entertaining it because the value of that probably future second or even the second or like early third round pick this year that they're getting back. I don't think Pittsburgh has a second, makes it kind of tough, but I would entertain a trade all the way back into the early 20s.
Cynthia is in the Asmaniac raffle for one. Cynthia will be at the draft party on Thursday.
We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
Go now and get your ticket like Cynthia did. The link is in the description. If you're watching live right now, there's over 450 of you tuned in live right now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Click the link and lock in your spot to our draft party on Thursday. Jimbo checks in. Need a weapon at 7, but fine with Graham or Walker. That's all. I like Savion Jones, LSU, Jalen Reed, PSU, and Jack Nelson, Wisconsin on day 3. Can't wait. I have not done any film work on any of those guys. Dylan, your thoughts on those options on day 3, if you know anything about those prospects?
Savion Jones is the only one who I'm somewhat alerted to because he was at the Senior Bowl, hulking 6'5", 3/8", 280 pounds. That would suffice. As the day 3, we didn't take Shamar Stewart in round 1, so we're not going to panic, and we're going to get a guy on day 3 who can probably still come in and compete with Michael Clemens and, calm our nerves there. So I wouldn't hate Savion Jones. I don't know what his best moves are, so to speak, but based on his size, I would say he's probably more of a power than a finesse guy. Jalen Reed, that's one of the 2 safeties I mentioned from Penn State that you can plug and play at safety instead of taking Jadai Baron and moving him or doing whatever. So I like Kevin Winston Jr. a little bit more, his running mate, but Jalen Reed is fine. I think he's a 3rd round guy. I wouldn't say day 3. I think that's a little rich. And Jack Nelson, I'm not too familiar on. But yeah, I've seen him more in the day 3 range. So haven't gotten there yet. I want to study a lot of the day 2 guys because, like I said, pick 10 to pick 32 and probably even to pick 45 are very close in range. So I feel like any of those guys can go at any point. So I'm trying to be more prepared for the 2nd and 3rd round names.
Party with Peg and Artie. Speaking of the draft party, they will be there. They're flying in from Florida. Give it up to Peg and Artie. Would taking Ibuka or Golden at 7 be nuts?
No. I like him more than Tet.
And Tet's he's considered to go 5 now, maybe to Jacksonville, people are saying.
Yeah. And that to me would be like a yes, please do that. Push guys down the board for me at 7. Now, if Tet went at 5, maybe it does kind of start or create a urge to go up and get your guy. I would say right now, maybe Ibuka doesn't even get into the 1st round. I would say 2 wide receivers right now feel comfortable, McMillan and Golden. I'd be okay with Golden at 7, although I wouldn't love it. You can't really argue against having 2 Garrett Wilsons for me. But I think Ibuka, man, dude, I watched the Will Howard Gruden camp video, and it was all Ibuka. And when they asked him who that one guy is on that offense, he immediately said Emeka Egbuka. So to me, when your offense, your quarterback, your wide receiver coach, your head coach is coming out and saying all these great things about the player, I'm pretty sure he broke a couple records at Ohio State even. So yeah, Egbuka to me would be ideal. I wouldn't call it nuts though. I don't think anybody is really nuts. Maybe Shamar Stewart is the most nuts at 7, or Jadai Baron.
Jadai Baron. I mean, like, I didn't even pay any attention to Jadai Baron until yesterday. Now I'm scrambling to watch stuff on him, and just because
there's so many good Texas players too. Like, why does it have to be Jadai Baron? Just.
JYB says the smoke is too much for the insiders to see through. I hope so, but I don't know. I don't think it's smoke. I think they're seriously considering Barron at 7. I think they're probably saying, look, we'd love to get him on a trade down, but if they love the player, they'll just take him. You know, they don't care. They don't care what we think. They're gonna do it their way. They better be right. And I don't agree with it. I don't think it makes sense given what they've already spent at that position, what they've invested at that position, and the glaring holes that they've allowed themselves to have. It. Look, if they kept Morgan Moses and they re-signed Tyler Conklin, I would understand it a little more. Like, it's more justifiable. But right now, to me, it's not. Like, you have to come away with an impact player at a position of need, not draft someone that would be a luxury given the other resources they've allocated to the corner spot already.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I mentioned it to you off air. I don't know if I said it when we went live, but the 4 people on this roster that stick out to me that I want replaced as quickly as possible are Michael Clemens, Chuks Okorafor, Jeremy Ruckert, and Josh Reynolds. So that's how I'm prioritizing my draft board. Maybe the Jets don't feel the same way. Maybe they would rather replace a guy like Tony Adams at safety before wide receiver. But that's just how I would kind of prioritize it: is edge, tackle, offensive tackle, tight end, wide receiver. Those are my big 5.
Rich Cimini selected Texas offensive lineman Kelvin Banks Jr. for the Jets at 7 in the annual ESPN NFL Nation mock draft. He passed on Tyler Warren and Michigan defensive tackle Mason Graham. Membu was off the board. Cimini said he took Banks over Warren because of positional value. So your thoughts on that decision by Rich, going with Kelvin Banks, offensive tackle, who's only been a left tackle, but people believe he can make the transition over to right tackle. See, at least Banks, like, there's rationale in that. I don't know why he hasn't been discussed more as an option for the Jets, because of the fact he dominated at Texas in the SEC. Like, that's a Texas player I would like more than Jadai Baron.
Literally, as I was saying, there are so many other Texas players that I feel like are just more valuable in obviously different rounds of the draft. But if I'm saying I want a round 1 guy from Texas, it's not Jadai Baron. It's either Matthew Golden or Kelvin Banks, and Kelvin Banks would be the pick. Obviously, I wouldn't do what Rich did and take him over Mason Graham, but I would prioritize him over Tyler Warren. I do think you can't get a Kelvin Banks later on in the draft, whereas you can probably get a smaller, or not smaller, but the light version of Tyler Warren in the 3rd or 4th round. So I think, to me, Kelvin Banks would be priority over Tyler Warren for sure, but not over Mason Graham. Like, to me, I couldn't get over Mason Graham being there and the Jets passing on him.
Man with a rake. Is there any chance Tet is still there at 7? If so, I think Tet is more likely than not to be there at 7. I don't think the Jets themselves would take Tet at 7, but I will read you a conversation I had with someone that is a scout with an NFL team, because I like to, pick the brains of people that I've connected with that are around the league. So I asked this person about the receiver class, and this was the response I got. Wide receivers way down. Arizona's stud is the only one I have a first-round grade on. If Warren is somehow gone, I love Loveland for you guys just as much. So because I asked him about the Jets. It's interesting, the varying opinions on the wide receiver class, because I like Golden as well, but here's a guy who's in an NFL organization saying he doesn't even have a first-round grade on him.
Yep, and I'm not surprised. I would predictively say Tet and Golden are the only 2 first-round wide receivers, and then you probably have a mad dash on early day 2 of teams trying to call up for the Igbukas and the Burdens of the world. So I can get on board with it. Yeah, I do think there's a really good chance he's there at 7, and I do think there's an even better chance that the Jets don't even consider it. I don't think, based on what AG has said about the wide receiver position, that Tet fills that need specifically. And that's why I would lean towards a Golden or an Igbuka. But no, I wouldn't be surprised if, like this scout is saying, most teams only have 1 first-round grade on a wide receiver, and then you have a early second-round grade on Golden. But because you don't have 32 first-round grades, they're going to have to take somebody in the first round that doesn't. So Golden could fit that mold. I don't know if you saw the tweet earlier from, I think it was Nick Wagoner, a San Francisco 49ers guy. He said that they have 20 first-round grades on players this draft and 200 draftable grades. I thought 20 was like egregious. I don't know how many Dom has in his guide, but I would bet maybe 14, maybe 15 or 16 if you're really stretching it out for some of those quarterbacks. I don't see 20 first-round grades in this class. So you're talking about half of the first round is going to be a quote-unquote reach with a second-round grade.
Man, oh man. What a draft this set up to be. Dylan Tereman with us here. Weekly spot with him. Follow him on Twitter at DTereman. Excited to share that Dylan will join us for night 2 of our draft coverage on the channel. So we'll react to whatever the Jets do with their second and third round selections in real time. We'll have a bunch of other special guests that will join us during the mega cast I'm planning for Saturday or for Friday night and then Saturday during the day. And I'll be live for my draft party right after the Jets make their pick this Thursday. Click the like button if you haven't. There's a ton of you in here, but not a whole lot of likes. Let's get over 200 likes right now. We're at 183. Hit the thumbs up button. It helps the channel continue to grow. Peter Castro says, Dylan, have no fear. Fields is here. Nobody loves Justin Fields more than Peter Castro. Peter Castro, if you love Fields so much, put your money where your mouth is and get in the raffle for a Fields helmet, all right? But look, I like Justin Fields among the options that were available to the Jets once they decided to move on from Aaron Rodgers. But I also like want to be realistic. He's probably not the guy, and that's okay if he's not. I just don't want the Jets to do anything in this draft that would then prevent them from getting their guy in 2026. So to me, the earliest I would take a quarterback is day 3. I don't want to waste a second or a third rounder on a guy when I have this many needs on my team.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. Peter, I don't know how you felt about Fields in 2021, but this is probably how I was reacting in YouTube chats about Justin Fields in the pre-draft process. I still feel a little bit less, optimistic about him, but I do like his upside. It's tough. It's just, I don't know. Like it's just, what exactly was your question that you're asking? Sorry.
I guess like when's the earliest you take a quarterback in this draft?
If you trade down, say we did the 7 to 11 trade, we get the third and the fourth, take him at 73, right? You can justify it with extra picks. 110, probably where you have to go at quarterback. But if you take Will Howard at 73, you take Jalen Milroe at 73, I don't think Jackson Dart would be there at 73. I could justify it, or they could justify it to me. They don't have to necessarily turn out to be the long-term quarterback, and neither does Justin Fields, really. A third-round pick isn't going to stop me next year if I have conviction in a guy. Now, if you take a guy at 42, then it's like, okay, this guy is the first person everybody tweets out when Justin Fields has a 2 or 3 interception game.
Yep.
It's not necessarily the case with the third-round picks, but you can find a guy like a Will Howard that maybe you project him out to be a long-term backup, and then in 2027, you're looking at a second-year starter from the 2026 class. Like, I'm not going to throw Arch Manning, but let's throw Lenoris Sellers, a local guy from me from South Carolina. If he comes out in the draft and you have Sellers as your projected starter and then Will Howard as your backup in 2027, I'm cool with that. I think that's a really good quarterback room. But, again, you have to really finesse the board if you're going to take a position like quarterback that high, because where did you address your other needs prior to taking the quarterback to justify taking the quarterback? So I would say 73 if they traded down, 110 if they stay put.
Comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. Appreciate all of you tuned in here. We are just 2 days away from the NFL draft. All the talk, all the speculation, and in 2 short days, we finally know what the New York Jets are going to do. Joe Mike says, this smells like disaster. If this happens, this will just add to the list of missteps other Jets regimes have done. Well, they haven't picked Baron yet. They haven't picked a non-Mason Graham defensive player yet. So I'm holding out hope that common sense prevails. They take the tackle. They take Warren. They can find a trade partner, even better. But, we got to call it how we see it. I wouldn't be talking about this if I didn't think it was a real possibility. Like, I do think there's some validity now to Schefter yesterday, McShay today, Breer last week, that Jadai Baron is in play at 7. I mean, I think we're just we're in denial if we're going to pretend like it's not an option at this point. I think it is.
No, it absolutely has to be an option. And I think that's the best part of the draft, and the worst part of the draft is, as fans, we watch, the guys that we think are going to be projected to the Jets, and we end up with, 40% of our fan base loving Armand Membu, 40% of our fan base loving Tyler Warren, and then maybe like 20% are not exclusively tied to a prospect. This year specifically, I don't see a situation like last year. I was a Fashanu guy through and through. Go get Fashanu over Bowers. I understand Bowers is probably the better player and is going to project to be a better, NFL player, but you had to attack the need there. This year, your needs are so closely stacked. Like, I would consider tight end a bigger need than right tackle because you have Chuks Okorafor, who started over 40, 50 games for the Steelers, but the hole is just as big as tight end to me. And even if it is a little bit smaller to some people, you have to prioritize it over tight end because that's a bigger, like I used this analogy last night. You have a boat filling in with water. Those are your needs on the team: right tackle, tight end, wide receiver 2, defensive interior. Those are the holes letting the water in the boat. But we need the guys throwing the water out of the boat. And Armand Membu throws way more water than Tyler Warren does, in my opinion. Like, you're significantly filling holes in that perspective. So I could fill the tight end hole with 2 day 3 guys and feel just as confident about it as I would. Now, if Charles Grant is my right tackle day 1 from William and Mary, who I haven't been able to get a good enough film study on, I would feel really nervous about that being my right tackle going into the camp.
The Jets are about to ruin my draft party.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
My time at the draft party might be short-lived if that happens. I mean, look, get the booze ready, people. All right, they take a corner at 7.
They got Henny on tap there at Clinton Hall.
God. I'll be bringing the big fella special to the bar right here.
Oh yeah,
let's go. All right, let's get to some calls here with Dylan. Comments, questions, your super chats. We'll keep taking them if you write them in. First up today, because we all need Jesus, is Jets Jesus. Hello, Jets Jesus. Please bless us with the prayer of no corner at 7.
Oh man, what's up, Jake? What's up, Dylan? I feel you so much. If either of those two get their Baron and the other dude get their name read, I'm at 7 with us. If we trade out and their name gets read, I'll be stoked. But no, I'm gonna be that. Yeah, I'm gonna fly out to the draft party just to come flip tables, and then I'm just gonna fly back home.
Love it.
Although we might get an epic picture of Jake just passed out angry on one of the tables at the end of the night.
I'm gonna be so mad.
Yeah, dude, I feel you so much. Okay, not to derail a little bit from this, it is relatively draft related. I was listening to it's 40s and Free Agents podcast this morning after I listened to your morning show, and one of the things that they were talking about, and this is Greg Rosenthal, who I torture myself a little bit with, but it gives me, since he's like a Jets hater and a Pats fan and a million other team fans, but the Jets. But it gets a nice, grounding in getting the perspective of somebody that doesn't like the Jets. And then Daniel Jeremiah is on that show, and they were talking about the potential of Michael Mayer being traded from the Raiders, and they were talking about potential players to get traded on draft day or right around or after the draft. And I think he would be an interesting, if hopefully the Jets go Membu first and don't go Tyler Warren. If it was and then went maybe say wide receiver or one of the defensive sort of needs, or edge, I guess I would say is a legit need. I'm with you guys on that one. I think Michael Mayer would be a really interesting trade pickup, and potentially somebody that you could pick up for, I don't know. What do you think? They didn't really get into what pick, but I mean, 4th round, 5th round, you might be able to get him on the cheap on draft day.
He makes more sense than some of the other veteran tight ends because of the age. They want to stay away from a Goddard or Mark Andrews because of their age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. And maybe you could even get it less. You send them a 6th and you get Mayer in a 7th because they're just desperate at that point. We've seen, trades like that happen where it's so minimal that, yeah, you'd have to take the risk on Michael Mayer. I would rather do that than give the Eagles Goddard a fourth. You know what I mean? There's a reason why good teams are getting rid of players like Dallas Goedert. And I think Michael Mayer is just an unfortunate circumstance in Vegas with Brock Bowers, obviously, taking over as tight end 1. So yeah, why not just at least extend an offer, maybe a 5th, and you get a 6th back? I don't think it's going to be anything crazy.
Yeah, cool. That was my thought too. And he was somebody that I kind of tend to be aware of a lot of these players from my dynasty leagues that I play in. And yeah, he's somebody where I'm like, oh, when he gets opportunities, he can do things, but he just doesn't get the opportunities, either because in the past, because of the quarterback issues. And then now with Brock Bowers being on the field so much, now he's not, he doesn't get a shot. So yeah, he was.
Somebody say Brock Bowers. I
was afraid we said it too many times.
Yeah. So yeah, he was. When they mentioned his name, I thought he was interesting. When the other, not to just harp on this episode of the podcast, but I did think it was a good one. I was surprised that the other segment that they did was teams that are in better shape than you realize, and this draft could be groundbreaking for their trajectory. And the Jets were Daniel Jeremiah's number 1 team that he listed. So that was a feel-good moment there. I mean, I think it's pretty legit. I was surprised that Greg Rosenthal was with him and had him on his list too, just not in the number 1 spot.
There's talent. That's what I've been saying the whole time. People act like, oh, it's just this long rebuild for Aaron. No, not long rebuild. They get 2 years to get this team to the playoffs, or I want them both gone. Enough. Yep. I mean, every other team could figure it out, but the Jets, they have talent on this team. Douglas was. He needed to go. It was time, but he didn't leave this team with nothing. They have legit players on this team. They need to figure out quarterback. Hopefully it's Fields, but they got players here, 100%.
I'm surprised that DJ had him as 1. I would have said maybe a team like Denver, who already has their young quarterback in place, is the number 1 roster, but I can't argue with that. We do have the pieces in place. If you thread the needle like we've been talking about all show, and you hit on picks 1, 2, 3, maybe even pick 4, and they're plug and play with high upside as a starter or long-term backup, you're putting your roster in a lot better position than, like we said, Joe Douglas inherited it 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, 100%. And I know, actually, now that you kind of made me think of something else that was brought up that caught me by surprise. I like Jake's idea trying to lure San Francisco to trade up and get some of their boatload of picks. And they were on the same podcast. They were both saying that the Broncos could be a team that would move up to try to get, because they're hungry for wide receiver. They'd be able to jump ahead of everybody else, get wide receivers, and we've seen them make moves that seem to be not wise for them, but just going hey, we're going to go get our player that we want, and we'll put the rest of the draft at jeopardy for it. So I thought the Broncos as a trade option was interesting. They weren't somebody that I'd heard of previously.
I don't see them going up from 20 to 7, though. I think if we really want to get wild, can the Jets do a deal with a team in the teens and then move back again if they really want to get frisky with double trade back?
That would,
because I can see Denver moving up for sure. I think I saw the same report. 8 teams are looking to trade back: Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, Carolina, San Fran, Atlanta, Seattle, Tampa, Minnesota. And then all of a sudden they're like, Denver wants to trade up. And I'm like, whoa, hold on. So everybody's going to be calling Sean Payton and trying to figure out how far up he wants to move. Does he want Genty? Does he need to go get, ahead of the Bears at 10? Because then maybe he's offering a king's ransom to come up. But yeah, I mean, it is intriguing because I do think so many teams are trying to move down that Denver, Amari and Hampton at pick 15, if we trade back with Atlanta, they come up and get an edge rusher like Jalen Walker ahead of the Panthers, and then we're at 15, and then we trade back one more time. Like Jake said, we finesse the board and we get to 20 with Denver. Yeah, I would. And then you take my guy, Shamar Stewart, and everything comes full circle.
If they took Shamar Stewart at 20, that's great value. Fine.
100%.
But I can't do it at 7.
Yeah, not at 7 for sure. Dylan, I'm stoked that you're going to be on for the day 2 of the draft. That show's going to be awesome. Good job.
It's going to be lit. We're excited. It's going to be fun.
How about that? Jets Jesus approves of a programming decision that I made. Love it. Great call, Jets.
Is that not
Jesus.
Normally the case?
I know. Usually the football gods hate me, so it's nice to get some love.
Yeah. Jesus gods. Yep. I want to know, is he the guy at MetLife that says, "I've come to save the Jets," and he stands in the parking lot waving to everybody entering? Because I love when that guy comes to MetLife.
He's not doing a very good job if he's trying to save
I always
the
feel
Jets.
like we have hope, though, when I see that Jesus at MetLife, and then you walk into the stadium and you're like, God damn it, here we go again.
Jadai Baron's watching the show. This is classic. My first Jets interception will be Jake's joy on draft night. Jadai
chat is unmatched, man.
I want to make it clear. If they take Jadai Baron, I am rooting for him. I just don't believe it is worth the 7th pick. I hope he's Darrelle Revis, and I look like an idiot, and people will use this tape against me for the rest of my life. I'll be known as the guy who didn't want Jadai Baron. Label me as that guy. I don't care as long as this guy is great, but it doesn't fit. Whatever. I've said my piece. Ralph, with
Jadai Baron jerseys will be raffled the day that he intercepts Josh Allen.
100%. I'll donate $1,000 to his charity of choice if that happens. So that it leads to a Jet win or something. The sensible plan all along was to re-sign Aaron Rodgers at a reduced cost, draft Dart and weapons. Gonna feel terrible when Pittsburgh, a better organization, does that now. You guys know my thoughts on this. I don't want to go down the Rodgers rabbit hole. Ralph, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm cool on the Rodgers stuff. I mean, I'm cool on the Dart stuff too. Like, I wouldn't have been happy with the Jets taking Dart at any position, whether we had Rodgers or not. But yeah, my position's kind of been stated on Rodgers, and now that that's out of the way, I think we can all put our support behind Justin Fields, hopefully.
David Atkins, sleeper, Jared Wilson, Georgia, 3'10", 4'8", 40 time, could play center or tackle. Is Jared Wilson a sleeper in your eyes too, Dylan?
I don't know about he can play tackle. He could probably play interior at any of the spots. Like what's his name? Tate Ratledge, his teammate. I know that's a popular day 3 mock to the Jets. Why wouldn't Jared Wilson also? I don't have any, definitive tape study on him, but he ran a 4'8", 440. So I would assume at minimum when he pulls in space, he's doing his job.
Dom has him on.
Yep, there you go. And Dom and I see pretty alike on most things. So if he says 3rd round, I'm in agreement there. I wouldn't mind it. Again, I feel like the interior of your line is more solidified. So you'd really have to have a plan for this guy. Maybe it's AVT to right tackle, and this guy plugs in at right guard. I wouldn't like it if you drafted him to be your center and then you kicked Tittman out to guard and then AVT out to right tackle. I feel like you could have just put Josh Myers in that position. But yeah, Jared Wilson is definitely a name. Georgia's a program that you would love to inherit players from. And I feel like if you're taking a trench player from Georgia, maybe just check his driving background, but he's probably fine.
That's probably smart.
Which Muji said they're doing the final security
That's right.
Meetings, I guess, this week. So they'll know all the ins and outs. And a player I'm really excited to watch kind of off the rails a little bit is Isaiah Bond. He got in a little bit of trouble. Some allegations came out. He turned himself in. I don't know what the extent of all this is going to be. But again, that's another Texas player that I was eyeing in the 3rd round if they didn't go wide receiver in the first 2. So he's definitely one that I'll be watching how they feel with their final security checks. If they end up drafting him, clearly they sign off on him. So I'm excited to see what they come up with.
Michael says fans deserve a home playoff game more than once every 25 years. I mean, for sure. How about fans deserve winning more than 7 games in the season once every 10 years?
Yep.
The playoff drought, everyone talks about that. I think it's even more pathetic. They haven't won more than 7 games in 10 years. 7.
Yeah, it's absolutely nuts. And I like the playoff format, how they set it all up. I think it was Detroit, right? They're the ones that were complaining and wanted the rule changed about the seeding in the playoffs.
Yeah, they wanted it based on record because they won 14 games and had – well, actually, was it Detroit or Minnesota that wanted the change? Because Minnesota –
whichever one, yeah. So, but it's like, all right, you win a lot of games and you don't win your division. Now we're going to try to change the whole rule. I think the football playoffs were something. I mean, even before the change where only the 1 seed gets the bye, I thought the NFL playoff structure was like perfect.
Me too.
And now they tweaked it. It's fine, but I can't see it going any further than this. Like your division winners have to be, I don't want to say celebrated, but they need to be rewarded.
It has to matter. I agree with you. Yeah.
100%. You win your division. You play those guys 6 out of your 17 games. They're the teams that you're building your team to beat. I'm sorry that whoever it was, Minnesota, also ran into a buzzsaw like Detroit. Their quarterback also poo-pooed down the stretch the last 2 games and in the playoffs. So there's reasons why they didn't win their division. I can't get on board with changing it. But yeah, come on. Once every 25 years is just a little ridiculous. We can't have gray hair in our beards the next time the Jets are playing at MetLife in January.
Yeah, I think you win your division, you should get a home playoff game. I think that winning the division should
Bare
matter.
minimum.
You know, obviously there's some rare examples where an under 500 team wins a division, or
Yes.
you know, the Vikings are a wild card team despite winning 14 games, but that's rare. I think ultimately you win the division, you get a home playoff game.
Yep, absolutely.
Big fella, security. Damn, James Pierce won't be a Jet.
Yeah, I've seen off-field concerns with him. I don't know how legitimate they are, but there's a lot of smoke about his off-field concerns, which is just sad because he's just such an athletic freak and a specimen that, like, the Ravens are going to get him in the first round and everybody's going to be like, God damn it, we should have just, like, overlooked his off-field issues. Princely Umanmielen is another guy. I don't know if it's like a consistent theme with him, but he's the Ole Miss edge. He chased like a fan of the opposing team into the crowd leaving a game one time, and he had to get held back by like trainers and stuff. So all those little tiny things need to get ironed out by the Jets. But yeah, that's not a good look for James Pierce. From what I've been reading, I don't know. That doesn't go into my personal evaluation. Like the year Tua got hurt, for example, I didn't completely ruin his grade because of the hip injury. I understood what the ramifications could be on him, and he wasn't the first quarterback taken, but like off-field stuff, I can't confirm unless it's literally like X player was arrested for this. And then it's, that's the stuff that we can't piece in from our desks here.
You have time for another call or two, Dylan, or you got to run?
Yeah. I got 1 or 2 more in me for sure.
All right, ladies
I took
and
a
gentlemen.
nap today.
Hell yeah. Gary is on the line. Ladies and gentlemen, Gary is up next. Gary, another day, more smoke on Jadai Baron.
Jadai.
Your Longhorns being a Jet.
Jadai Baron.
Jadai Baron?
Jadai Baron.
Hopefully
yeah,
I don't need to learn
like
how to say his name.
Rastafarian God, and day, like day. Like the day.
Jadai Baron.
Jadai. Gotcha.
What about Ja Rule? What's he up to?
I don't know.
Probably frauding people.
I was going to say nothing good.
My hair, yeah. All right. There we go. So a couple of things. So Ja Rule. I got Ja Rule. Joe D offered what's his name, a job? I didn't know that. Why is my brain not?
Todd McShay.
Todd McShay. I didn't know that. That's a ringing endorsement if Joe Douglas wanted to hire you. The other thing is, I guess this Baron thing, there's obviously smoke to this. I had my brother-in-law, my wife, her whole side of the family, all huge Bears fan. He texted me the other day. He said, "How about this for a trade?" It was our pick 7, and then it was like, what was it, 109, 110, whatever we pick in the 4th round for 10 and 41. I said I would do that in a heartbeat. Would you, if they're going to take Baron, because it seems like the Bears want Genty, so they're looking to trade up to 7. We would trade down to 10 and get 41. I still wouldn't want to take Baron at 10, but would that be better? Would that be a trade, a hypothetical trade that you're open to?
Yes, because I'm getting an extra 2nd round pick. So while I wouldn't take Baron at 10, I'd hope they would take a different player. At least in my mind, it's, hey, they love this guy. They have conviction. He's going to be great. Okay, we still have 2 picks pretty early on day 2, 41 and 42, that we could use to address our glaring needs at tackle, receiver, tight end, etc.
Yeah, if you're taking the same exact player 3 picks later, give me Baron and 41, with not even caring who that player is, honestly, unless it's quarterback.
To your point, Dylan, if they make that deal with Chicago, trade back into round 1, package those picks, get back into round 1, and come away with the last tackle that fell. Maybe Banks fell, or
Josh Connerly. Yeah,
Connerly could be there, or maybe it's like, we really want a weapon. We can't do it at 7. We're going to trade back in. We're going to take Tet in the 20s. We're going to take Golden in the 20s. They might be there. Ibuka could be there. I love Ibuka. I think he's going to be awesome. I would love him in the 20s if they could get him there. So I'm in.
Yeah, I'm totally in.
That was like two questions I had. How did Baron jump Will Johnson? Like, I like how Will Johnson, I'm not saying he's going to be as good as Sauce. Sauce is great, but like he's kind of got Sauce vibes to him, right? Like he's strong, he's long, he's fast. He's not a great tackler. He just reminds me a lot of Sauce. If I could have Sauce on one end and Baby Sauce on the other side, like to me that works. Like why did Baron jump Will Johnson? Like Johnson's such a better player to me.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. I would say Johnson would be higher ranked for me than Baron. I haven't formally ranked either of them. I guess is there just a little bit too much unknown with Will Johnson? Wasn't he a little bit injured this past season at Michigan or something like that? I feel like there's just like that little bit of an unknown, but I mean, you're talking about a guy who was on the Feldman's Freaks list. So I'm cool with pairing him up with Sauce before Jadai Baron because I feel like you could sell me that there's a role for him. Obviously, Brandon Stevens is kind of cooked and he's going back to safety, but I would take Will Johnson over Brandon Stevens as my perimeter corner opposite Sauce. So maybe there's just a little bit more unknown with Will Johnson right now, but maybe Jadai Baron is just killing it in these meetings also. You know, I think that could be part of it too, where players or personnel guys are falling in love with the person Jadai Baron, not, you know, Will Johnson.
I guess, like, I'm not saying that Aaron Glenn's going to pick him because he's an undersized, scrappy cornerback from Texas. But, like, I understand the comps from Baron to Glenn. I kind of get it. I'm not saying Glenn's going to pick him, that Glenn's that short-sided. Like, oh, he's like me, right? I just don't – he's a fifth-year senior. His weaknesses are glaring. Like, you're going to kill him on the intermediate and short passing game. He's not physical enough. You're going to kill – he's going to get killed. So, like, I look at him and I look at Michael Carter and I say, Carter's better than him by far. So, what's like – what – I don't even understand where he's going to play. He can't play on the outside, and on the inside, Michael Carter's better than him. So if we took him in the first round, we don't even have a spot for him.
Yeah, Daniel Jeremiah did a mock draft with Mina Kimes, and he said that he would move Jadai Baron to be his like nickel / safety hybrid. And I look at that and I'm like, okay, well, the Jets don't need that. So hopefully it wasn't for the Jets, but it's just like, it's kind of a mixed bag on where people think Jadai Baron is going to succeed in the NFL. So again, maybe that's people like that, but I tend to, you know, stray away from that. And I would take a guy who I have more of a defined role like Will Johnson. And honestly, dude, if you're going to get a scrappy corner that reminds AG of himself, go get like Mac McWilliams from UCF, who's 5'10", 190 and ran a 4.41. Like, that to me is fine. It's going to be a day 3 pick. It's not going to be a top 10. So, yeah, I think this whole corner discussion is really bothering me because I thought pre-free agency pick 42, and now I'm like, we don't need to at all. Like, I'm cool until round 5 or 6.
The other two questions I had was, I like the long one I do like is Banks. Like, if we could get Banks, I would rather that than Membu because he only played left tackle at Texas. I don't think he played a single snap anywhere else. Mm-hmm. But they say that they can move him to all 4 positions like AVT. So if that's the case, you have 2 guys who basically, if anyone gets hurt, you can just move them all around and you don't have to worry about it. To me, Banks is a good pick. I would prefer that to Membu. And if they're going to take a long one, like you said, I'd much rather it be Banks than Baron.
I have no issue they took Banks at 7 for what it's worth.
100%. And there's also the chance that Fashanu kicks over to right tackle. I understand Jets love him at right tackle, and he was fine.
A different regime loved him at left tackle.
Yes, exactly. He was not perfect. But if you're going to sell me on, hey, we're going to put Banks at left tackle and move Fashanu to right tackle, I can get on board with that as well. Like, this guy is going to be picked. If they pick at 7, this guy is going to be picked higher than Fashanu was. So if you're going to tell me one can do it, but the other certainly can't, it kind of makes me feel a little weird about it.
And then the last thing is, like, I'm not for taking a quarterback in on day 2. Like 73, even 110 is too early to me. Like, next year's quarterback class is so good. Like, any quarterback you take this year, I feel like you're just wasting the pick, right? Because no matter who you pick, he's not going to play right away, and you're going to draft the quarterback next year. If you like,
unless Fields is the guy, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, unless, so either way, the quarterback that you draft this year is not going to play at all. And then unless you're either going to have Fields next year or you're going to take a quarterback in the first round next year. If you want to take a quarterback, I would not do it before round 5 or 6. Like, even at 73 or 110, that's still too early for me. Like, you can still get a contributing player at that point.
Yeah, that's fair. Do you have a name in mind next year at quarterback?
I like Nico a lot. I know that this is going to hurt him. I like Nico. I like Arch. I like Drella. Any of those three, I'm fine with. I like Lenoris, but I want to see Lenoris for another year. Like, he kind of came out of nowhere. I was not expecting that, but I like him a lot. I said there are at least 5 or 6 quarterbacks you would take in this year's draft. Klubnik too, before you would take Sir Sanders, right? It's like that's why I would be in no rush to take Sanders. If I like Cam Ward, but I think there are at least 3 or 4 quarterbacks in next year's draft better than him. I think there are 6 quarterbacks better than Sanders. So I'm not going to trade up to get Sanders. I'd rather just wait for next year. You know what I'm saying? That's why I don't think teams are going to jump up a lot to get Sanders when there's next year's quarterback class waiting in the wings.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm looking at the list of 2026, so I wanted to see any names. You named the top 4 guys on the rankings that I'm looking at currently. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind it. Obviously, things happen, and we might not get them next year, all of them. But yeah, Nico would be cool.
Trade up then. If you want to trade up, that's the year to trade up in.
Right.
Yeah.
100%.
For sure.
I agree with you. Now, Gary, let me ask you this before you go. What is your take on Beastbreaker saying that he is now a cop, if you caught the first show today?
He's a comp?
He's a cop, COP.
Oh,
he's a police officer. His badge is being mailed to him.
If you got pulled over by him, I think it'd be easy to outrun him. I don't think he'll be an effective cop.
Do you think you would wait a second? You think you could outrun Beastbreaker?
I think I could outrun Beastbreaker. Yeah.
No, you can't.
Even with all those Garrett Wilson impersonations we've seen.
I sprained my ankle. I pulled my hamstring. Like, I'm pretty old now, but I think I can still outrun Beast. Yeah. What'd you say, Dylan?
I was gonna say, even with all those Garrett Wilson impressions we've seen in that attic, you think you could outrun him?
He does move better than you would think for a guy that size. He's more mobile, and he can swing a baseball. Like, he swung a bat. It looked pretty coordinated. It looked like, he's done it before.
He's like Armand
deceptive change of direction.
I think he used to be an athlete. I honestly do. Like, just a high school athlete or something. Like, he doesn't look as like uncoordinated as you would expect.
No, he definitely looks like a natural athlete, and the wrestling background, you have to have some type of athleticism to you. I'm not gonna, sell that short for sure, but yeah.
First, let's get something here. Stepping up to bat, number 99 of the New York Yankees, the man himself, Aaron Judge.
Beast, we can't see you. Put on a light.
Sorry about that mess. Let's try it again.
Open your blinds.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, neighbor. A beautiful day for beauty. Wouldn't you be mine? Wouldn't you be mine?
You put on like a
I've always
lantern.
wanted to do just like you.
It's still dark as hell.
All right. Now Aaron Judge at the bat. Down in the dirt, ball 1. Okay,
Did you say Aaron Pudge or Aaron Judge?
Here comes the windup, the 0-1. Aaron Judge sends it back deep into the suns of right field. That ball is going. She is going. It is gone. The ball is gone. Now we might as well yell it. The Yankees.
Beast, thanks for the time.
Would you silence, or should I do one of these?
Now, has your opinion changed at all, Gary, after watching that athletic prowess?
No, I'm still pretty. He is surprisingly mobile for a guy, but you always have to preface it with that, right? For a guy that size, he moves pretty well. No, I think I could still outrun him. I'm pretty confident. Yeah.
And you don't think he'd be an effective police officer? Just to recap,
it's going to be tough. He could probably sit at the desk and do paperwork, but he seems to have ADHD really bad, so that might not work either. I don't know.
I feel like you could ask Beast a question and he'd just go off on like his announcer voice tangent, and then you could just get away.
Beast, do you think you'd be an effective police officer? Why or why not?
That's a good question. Well, it depends. It depends on the condition, and plus it depends on the weather. Like if the weather's like really heavy, and I don't feel like moving around, then I'll send out the crew. I'll like send out the crew. I need about 20 guys. Let's go. Move. That's how I'd send the crew. But if on a good day, I'm like, all right, boys, get your guns. Let's go.
Get
You
your
know the
guns.
drill. Come in, boys. Come in.
Breaker 666. He's the man who would kick your ass. And then he's gobble-goo.
Yo, Beast really said sun's out, guns out. If it's raining, I'm not chasing. Oh, that's great.
Gator says Beast is the police force where V-Man is the national security. All right, Dylan, that's a great final call for you, man. Appreciate you hopping on. I will talk to you Friday, but you're more than welcome to call in and give your quick take Thursday night after we see what the Jets actually do. I'll be live from the draft party. So, all right,
Perfect.
Final question then. Who's the pick at 7? The New York Jets will take who when it's all said and done?
I keep going back to Armand Membu. I fall there. Maybe Graham does slide, and then he would be the priority like we talked about. But I still think they're going to do right by Justin Fields, give him the complete wall essentially in front of him, and take Armand Membu, a.k.a. Beast Breaker, at pick 7. So, yeah, I'm going offensive line.
Love it. Ladies and gentlemen, Dylan Tereman. Dylan, you're the man. Talk soon.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Jake. Thanks, chat. You guys are the best.
Dylan checking in. Love it. Good stuff from him. Hit the like button. Another reminder for those of you just tuning in here, we got a huge audience for this show. We're giving away a signed Justin Fields helmet, signed Aaron Glenn helmet, signed Curtis Martin helmet, and a signed DeBrickashaw Ferguson in raffle number 24 this week. Gift the membership, and you're in the raffle. If you send in a $10 super chat, you're in for 2. $20 super chat, you're in for 5. $50 super chat, you're in for 10. $100 super chat, you are in for 20. The reason why we do that is because you can only gift if you're sitting at the laptop or desktop. So give people a chance who watch the show on their iPad or phone an opportunity to get in the Asmaniac raffle. Let's get to more of your calls right now. Ladies and gentlemen, Marcus is on the line.
I'm on the line. What's up, Marcus? What's up, man?
How we feeling, Marcus?
We feeling all right. Say what's up, y'all.
What's up?
How we doing?
Good.
You wanna do it? You wanna do it for me?
Jets.
Yeah, there we go. That's good parenting right there.
You know it. We're about to head to football practice myself. Well, look, the number 7 pick. I'm kind of like previous calls. I've said that I was kind of on the fence, but yeah, Membu or Warren, I think will be a good pick at 7. And I say what we pick at 42, 43. You can just throw my stuff in the back. 42 or 43. Go get the receiver. Why not?
I'm with you. They do that. It'd be hard pressed for I think anyone to complain about the strategy if they went, tackle and then weapon on day 2. I think we lost Marcus with the connection, but good stuff, Marcus. Good luck at football practice with your kids there. Ladies and gentlemen, I would say Marcus is a good family man, but before we could say anyone is a good family man on this show, we have to run it by the architect of good family men himself.
Hey, Charles! You'll never get my chicken soup recipe. Hey, Charles! I'm not saying that Lowski takes steroids. I need some of it. Hey, Charles! Who is that lovely lady? Send it this way, Charles!
Hey, Jake.
Hey, Charles.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
Do you see me as just content or do you see me as a friend?
I think you're a friend and you're a big part of the show.
Well, I got some news for you. I won't be bringing my Captain Marvel costume.
Oh, how come?
I talked about it with my parents and...
You ran it by your parents?
Yes, I was telling them I was going to bring it, but they're like, no, the weather's going to be too severe.
Wait a second.
Well,
Hold
not
on.
too severe. I'm sorry. It's going to be warming up. My mother says, "You're gonna come home. You'll be like 2 pounds when you get home." In other
So
words, she thinks
their
I'll be
fear is
sweating
that
my ass off in
you're
that
gonna.
costume.
I see. So their fear is you're gonna sweat through the costume.
Yes.
Well, that's understandable. What if you don't wear it there? You just change into it at the party.
They don't want me to wear the costume, and
Really?
I actually thought about it myself. And plus, it's not Halloween. It's not
It's a
time of
Halloween
concert.
party. What do you mean?
Very funny.
Hey, it'd be funny if it was a joke.
No, I'm not gonna. I thought about it, and I'm not gonna wear it.
All right. So what are you gonna wear then?
My Jonathan Vilma Jets jersey, as you can
Okay.
see right here.
All right. We got it ready to go.
I'm gonna wear some shorts,
Okay. It's good.
and I'll wear one of my Jets hats if I can find the damn thing. Hold on.
All right, but let's compromise. Over your shorts, you have to put these on. All right? So we could raffle them off that night as game-worn gourmandies.
Just hold on. I'm trying to see if I have my Jet. Let's go. Ah. There we go. There's my Jets hat.
And then what do you think of this?
They're fine, Jake. They're fine.
You'll put those over the shorts? That's okay? Your parents approved that one?
And then, of course, I'll get to sign them, and you get to auction them.
Exactly. But they have to be game-worn. That's, I can't say something is authentic if it's not. I'm not a liar.
I know, Jake. I know.
Tony says you're going to meet your future wife at the draft party.
I'm sure I will.
Jeffrey says you should wear your big boy pants.
I do.
My brother's putting his mortgage on the Gorman Jock. He doesn't have a mortgage, but if he did, he would put it on auctioning for these.
As for this Todd McShay bombshell pick, if the Jets do go defense, I wouldn't be surprised if they take Mason Graham. As for Shamar Stewart, I've heard a lot of mixed things about him. I wouldn't mind him, though, taking him in the top 20 if the Jets decide to trade down. Of course, a lot of people's dreams would be getting Abdul Carter, but he's more than likely to go in the top 5 picks in the draft, unless if he does fall that much, but who the hell knows? But then again, anything is possible. Obviously, I still would want either Ahmad Menbu or Tyler Warren to be the pick, but who knows?
What's your take on Beastbreaker? Do you think he'd be a good cop?
I don't know why Gary thinks he doesn't want. I think Beastbreaker will be a decent cop. I mean, look, I understand, he's big, but I met a lot of big cops and they're good at their jobs.
What flavored donut do you think would be Beast's favorite flavor?
Why is that important?
I'm just asking because that's what cops like, right, Charles? They like donuts.
They don't just eat donuts. They drink coffee a lot. They
All right,
eat pizza a lot.
What do you think Beastbreaker's ideal coffee donut order would be as a cop?
I don't drink coffee, so I don't know. But as for a donut, I love jelly donuts personally.
You're a jelly guy?
Yes, I love jelly donuts.
I don't drink coffee. I drink tea.
Oh, well,
and I like Long Johns. Like this. Long Johns. White frosting all the way. Or chocolate frosting. That's as far as it could go. I don't like it. The jelly donuts are okay, but the Long Johns are the best.
I was going to say that's what she said joke about the Long Johns. Sorry, Beastbreaker.
Gracias, amigo.
Huh?
Gracias, amigo.
But you drink tea, man. You drink tea.
Yes,
That's
I do.
good. I prefer. What type of tea do you drink? Decaf, chamomile,
black, strong black. I get the good.
I'm more of a tea fan. I prefer chamomile or orange flavored tea with some honey inside.
I like mine black, regular Lipton all the way, 100% proof.
I like Lipton tea too.
fresh cream, fresh sugar up front. You're a
I'll
Costco
keep that
guy.
in mind.
You're a Costco guy, and so am I.
I know, yeah. I just had a late dinner at a early dinner at Costco.
Really? What'd you have?
A chicken bake.
Not bad. I think I've had one of those before. They're okay, but their pizza is the best.
I love their pizza. Yes.
You can't go wrong if you get the $10 pizza. You know you're getting a good quality, but don't
Yeah, it's
drink
like
those.
$9.95, $10. Yeah. It's $9.95.
It's $10, and yeah, it
Yeah, I
is
know what you
$10.
mean.
I generally go with the pepperoni because sausage at times you got to be careful. You don't want to screw up the insides of your stomach, because then if you screw it up, then you're oh boy, you'll be on the toilet messing up.
My bad, everybody.
Sorry, Miss Castro. I have to go lay down right now. I'm pretty tired after that big flight. You want me to go flying again so I can show you how to punch a punk in the face? This is how you punch a. This is how you get a punk. You get it right in the corner. You grab him. Show me you asshole piece of shit. That's how you punch.
Yeah,
punks.
that's how you do it, Beast.
That's how you put punks in check. You know why? Because today's world, we have no respect, no discipline. Because today's world is full of punks. All they do is this, not enough this. That's how hard we.
Yeah,
That's
that's
how hard
factual right there.
Mr. Kent, I'm sorry, that question is invalid. Thank you for your time. Let me, Jake, I'm gonna go lay down before I throw it back out and I wind up in a hospital bed. Pretty dangerous.
You get the fuck out.
Anyways,
Good stuff there from Beast.
Yeah, he definitely said some valid points about today's world being having a bunch of softies.
Oh yeah,
but that's a different story for another time. Can't wait for the draft party. Can't wait. I watched the Knick game on Saturday. The first one, it was a very good game.
Thank you for talking about game 1, which happened 3 days ago.
I know they lost game 2. That sucked.
Yep.
Can't wait for the draft, my friend. Can't wait for the draft.
Me too, Charles. I'm excited to have you, and it's going to be a great night, all right?
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for our guy, the great Charles Gorman.
Hi, I'm Charles, and I'm going to talk about Spider-Man and movies and sports and video games and maybe hot chicks.
Peter Castro says Rick Kent's going to kick your ass to Beastbreaker. Beastbreaker says Rick Kent, you're barred. Peter Castro, you're barred. Brandon L., you're barred. So for those who missed it yesterday, Beast declared that they're not allowed to see little Joey. For those who didn't catch the show yesterday. Roseanne says it's going to be chills-inducing when Gorman walks in the door. Oh, it's going to be electric. Tom A says, when did Beast earn his police badge? Beast, when did you earn your police badge?
So, well, yesterday after I did some research on Bobby Beasley, I did a lot of scout reports on him, and I found a lot of deep crap that just blew a person's mind. See, I remember watching CSI and Cops and also America's Most Wanted. It's called, I've learned from these people, including some of the greats. You got to remember something. You want to play good cop, bad cop? You got to learn to use your head, not your ass.
I thought you were going to lay down, by the way. What happened?
I was going to lay down until someone woke me up and decide, okay, I'll answer some questions right now before I go to sleep. So I'm not going to be rude and be an asshole. Being an asshole is not.
All right, I have a question from Gary. He wants to know if you eat squirrels.
Are you, Mr. King, are you stupid? Are you just plain dumb? Are you just going to sit there and give me a bullshit excuse? Get out of my face, boy. Beat it. Go play in traffic or something. Go get hit by a bus. Do something with your life. Go out, play video games or something. Go do that. Go play on your phone. Go play in traffic. Do whatever. Or go to the beach. Go to the beach and get a tan. Do that.
You do that again, Beast? Were you tan? We couldn't tell.
Yeah, go and get a tan. That's what I do. I get a tan. I said, like today. Today I worked on my mower. I got that pumping. I had to cutting grass, having fun. That's my way of having fun. No, Mr. Ace, I'm not old. I still look good. I still look fit, lean and mean and good. And if you don't like it, you know what? Don't hate the pimp. Hate yourself. I'm just being my own thing. It's called I'm the man and I'm a pimp. So
do you use tanning oil or bacon grease?
Tanning oil or bacon grease. Hey, I just use whatever's available. As long as I keep it smooth and fresh, don't worry about what you do. Hey, let me give you one good quote. You do what you do, and I'm going to do what I'm going to do. Bottom line, nothing said. Game over. Lights out. I said lights out. Just like.
Now, to be fair, you didn't really turn the lights all the way off because your mic is a light.
Well, I know I don't want to feel like an idiot. So, Thursday night, get those draft picks. Oh, did you forget to sponsor one thing? Chubbies! Get those shorts from Chubby. You can get them any different ways. And remember, folks, when the summer starts, get those Chubbies right now. And remember, what you said at Asman.com. And remember,
You get the fuck out.
Beast, we can't confuse the audience. They didn't sponsor today's episode. But I appreciate the infomercial. Anyway, on that, let's get back to your calls, shall we? I did miss this from JYB earlier. Dylan, I don't know if you're still in the chat, but if you can answer JYB's question. If you are, if not, I apologize, JYB. I will give you some extra raffle entries with this $20 super chat. The question was, in a perfect draft, what does after the draft free agency look like for you, Dylan? I can answer. Me personally, I'd like to see the Jets add a veteran pass catcher. Even if they take a receiver, pretty early in this draft, say their second-round pick. To me, Tyler Lockett would make a lot of sense for the Jets. He's the guy I'm going to continue to mention. Jeffrey says, Beast, maybe you should buy a used cop car for fantasy of being a cop. Beast, are you going to drive around in a cop car?
I'll give it a try. Hey, take a little swig, a little swirl. But I'm gonna take my time and do it nice and easy. I'm not.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we do this? Give us a little simulation. Like you're in the car. Like what does it look like driving? Like strap in. Hit the gas, and you're involved in a police chase.
I'm gonna keep that Terminator cold looked at. All units, get ready to get out of the way. There's a prominent forfeit progress. Let's go. All right, gentlemen, get the hell out of there. Get you guys ready to move out now. Now. All right, everybody, move. Got him. There you. Come here.
Holy crap, here comes Beastbreaker 666.
Why don't you get your fat ass on a treadmill and go the distance with me?
Is that Bobby Midnight?
I'm not into politics, and I already told you that.
I might be big, but I'm going to be bad enough to put you out.
Beastbreaker always has some salient points.
To the Beastmobile. Rick Kent says, someone please help little Joey. I got some news for you guys. Daz is in the lab with another Beastbreaker song that will likely debut on the show tomorrow once I vet it. Anyway, let's get back to your calls. Adam is up next on the show today. What's up, Adam?
Hey, great calls today. Pretty awesome, and I really like Dylan's. Thanks for the dialogue with him. So I think where there's smoke, there's fire. And I think the message that I'm hearing is that the Jets don't think that Membu or Warren are going to be available at 7. So now they're kind of weighing things out. And then
one of them should be, no? Like, what's the scenario where Warren and Membu aren't there?
Well, here's the thing, right? If you think like as an opposition agent, the Jets are very interested in Warren. I think it's pretty public knowledge. There's a lot of possibility. It's credible that the Jets would take him at 7.
Yep.
So if you're an opposition agent, you'd say, well, I probably got to get in front of the Jets to get Warren. So hear me out on this one. Let's say the Patriots go for Membu, because again, Membu's also tied to us. It's a logical chalk pick for us. So let's just say the Patriots like Membu for the same exact reasons we like Membu. They take 4. They take him at 4. And then let's say Jacksonville, for whatever reason, maybe a trade partner for Warren, or they take Graham. Either of those two are also chalk picks for us. So gone at 5. And then let's say someone, I think that if the Raiders want Genty, I think they can get him at 6, but they might just as easily get him at 8 or 9 or 10. It's possible. They know the Jets aren't going to pick Genty because they're not getting rid of Brees. I mean, they're talking about Brees, but I don't buy it, right? So in the end, someone can get in front of us and get Mason Graham as well. Wouldn't that be kind of the nightmare scenario? All 3 chalk picks are taken in front of us. And that's very Jets-like when you think about it.
I just don't see the scenario where one of Graham, Membu, and Warren aren't there at 7.
But you know what? I think there's still a happy ending, even if that is the case, because then you think about, well, who's the best non-RB weapon available still? And you said it earlier on the call, Loveland. Would it be really that bad in that scenario if we got Loveland? Wouldn't he be the best receiving weapon available out of all positions?
I don't see why they would need to do it at 7, though. I mean, in your spot, say none of those guys are there, fine, but I don't
maybe
see it,
there's no buyer, right? Like if you're the bottom half of the, like you heard, like Dylan was saying it too, right? If the league thinks there's only 15 round 1 value picks, even though every year is different, then that means that if they don't see the value and they'd rather trade down than trade up, then there aren't buyers that are going to come up to the top 15. And maybe in the top 15, there might be buyers within. But in this scenario, 2 of them may have traded in front of the Jets, possibility, or at least one of them already traded in front. There just simply may not be buyers. So the situation is, would we be happy with Loveland at 7 if we had no possibility to trade down? And I think the answer is, if we wanted a weapon, if that's the dream, and that's the next best weapon after Warren, why is that such a bad thing?
Your logic makes sense. I think we're overthinking this, though. I don't see any scenario where those players, at least one of them, wouldn't be available.
I know. We've had our hearts ripped out before thinking that someone will drop to us, and we've had some good luck on the other side recently, but law of averages plays out. But I think that's part of the reason why you're hearing these interesting, I'll have to go with a defensive pick that isn't, Mason Graham, because I think people are thinking.
McShay was saying they would take the defensive player over Warren, that he said that he doesn't believe they're going to take Warren based on what he's heard. He's like, I think they like him, but I don't think they like him more than these other players.
Possibly. I mean, are they pretending to be the Jets, or are they being themselves? I wasn't quite sure about the simulation.
They're being the Jets, because if it was them, they both said they would take Armand Membu at 7.
Yeah. Well, because we made the Will McDonald pick, they think we can make oddball selections. So in the end, Will McDonald's a great player. I think that pick will always be scrutinized. At least he was a worthy pick in general, but, I think that's always going to be used against us in our logic and the credibility of our scouts.
For sure. It's a different GM signing off on that, though, and head coach. Also, I would probably just take Calvin Banks. He could play tackle for me, and I'd be like, okay, I'm getting a good tackle. Some people think Banks is a top 10 talent. I would have no issue if they took him. Let's see where he's at in the consensus. He's at 15. He's the 3rd rated offensive tackle. Yep. It's Membu, Campbell, Banks. If I'm deciding which Texas player to take at 7, I'm taking the offensive tackle before I'm taking the cornerback. That's just me. More of your calls right now. Mikey Midnight is there, but I don't know if he's actually there. Mikey?
Can you hear me?
Oh, I can't see you, and there's an echo, Mikey.
You hear me?
No.
No, you not hear me?
Nope, I can't hear a word you're saying.
Oh, sorry. I don't know what's wrong with my camera.
Hey, Mikey, a word from Aaron Glenn. Call back, Mikey. Reset your browser. We'll put you right to the front of the line, buddy. We couldn't hear you. It was delayed, and we couldn't see you. More calls right now. Eric's on the line. Hello, Eric.
Hey, Jake. In Adam's scenario there, we'd probably just take Campbell if somehow all three of our main guys were off the board.
Unless they
I
don't want
see
to
that
take
happen.
a guard, if they view him as a guard. That's what I don't know. Like, some teams will say he's a tackle. Some will say he's a guard. To me, if they think that he passes their test, take him, because you might need a guard next year. Who knows? AVT and John Simpson are both free agents after the year.
I was going to say, we have 2 free agent guards coming up, and then we have the flexibility with AVT, too, that we can move him to tackle if Campbell ends up playing guard. So we'd have a pretty strong O-line either way.
Exactly.
But I'm glad that this party's taking place at a bar because they got me stressed out. Just 2 or 3 days ago, I was like, oh, Warren, Membu, Graham, I'll be fine with any of them. I could talk myself into any of them. And now all of a sudden we're talking about corner or edge rusher.
I know.
I don't know what's going on, man. It's the most Jets thing that could happen. Yeah.
Or it's smoke screen season, but I don't think it is. I think there's validity to this. Like, I'm usually pretty good at deciphering what's real, what's nonsense. Like, this is coming from people I respect a lot who have very good track records at reporting things.
There's enough sources, and who are we trying to smoke screen? Like,
Yeah, you're not like the players we're discussing. We're not worried about them being picked off in frnt of the Jets. It's not quarterback. They're all going to be there.
5 of the 6 players before us are probably already decided. So it's, we're trying to get someone to come up for Genty, or then why are we talking about cornerback? It would be such a Jets thing to do, to take someone at 7 who's not in anybody else's top 10. He's not even the top corner on the board. I'm with Gary. Even if you took Will Johnson, you can sell me on it. He's amazing, but I don't know, Jake.
Words many of us never thought we'd say. I'm with Gary.
I'm with Gary. I've said it before. I actually agree with a lot of his Jets takes. I wouldn't have taken Bowers last year, but I saw where he's coming from. And I actually think something he said is true, that the way what Bowers did last year is kind of affecting the way people are looking at tight ends right now. I think if Bowers didn't have such an amazing year, we might not be talking about Warren or Loveland in like top 7-10 range. But, with the low, there's not really any weapons. I could even take Tet before a corner, man. It's got me nervous.
Eric, hang in there, man. I'll see you in a few days, all right?
See you later, Jake.
Eric checking in. Good call, as always, from Eric. Scrolling up says, this man, Jake, really doesn't know bleep about drafting players. Yes. Me advocating for the Jets to not take a corner at number 7 means I don't know anything. Okay? Then go root for the Jets to take a corner at 7, then. You be my guest, because I'd imagine I'm not alone with that opinion. That taking a guy at that position, who's not even considered to be the best player at that position, who doesn't even necessarily have a defined position because they're saying he's a hybrid, that doesn't make sense to me. Maybe it does to you scrolling up. And if that's the case, God bless you. Comments, questions, super chats, they cut the line. More of your calls right now on our Gusbuster Umbrella Hotline. Ladies and gentlemen, let's see if his internet is fixed.
Hello, I'm Mikey. I'm Bobby's little bro. Have you seen Jake Graves? She's so beautiful. I love my boy Jake, but not in a gay way. I am so happy. I'm not going to touch anything, I promise. Hey, Jake, you hear me?
Mikey!
Jake!
Mikey!
You hear me, Jake? Hey, you hear me, Jake? You hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Jake, you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Wait, no. Jake, you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Jake?
Let me guess.
Jake?
You want to know if I can hear you?
Hey, Jake, thank you for thank you for inviting me. I said I could go. I lost my friend who died, Uncle Tony the Tiger. He passed away with cancer. I love him so much.
I'm sorry for your loss, Mikey. I don't know if you could hear me, though. Mikey?
I hear you, Jake.
You hear me?
I love you, buddy. Yeah.
I love you
hear
too, Mikey.
perfect. You're my best friend.
You're my best friend, Mikey. I'm sorry that you can't make the draft party. R.I.P. to Tony the Tiger. I'm not sure who that is, but if he's important to Mikey Midnight, then he's important to me too. Mikey, have Bobby figure out why we can't see you, why it cuts out so quickly. Mario says, pour some cornflakes out for Tony the Tiger. Amen. I think he called him Uncle Tony the Tiger, right? So family member, perhaps. Maybe someone in the chat could provide some clarity, but sorry for your loss, Mikey. All right, more of your calls right now. From Mikey Midnight to Finland. Australian Jets fan is next. Hello, Australian Jets fan.
There you go. Sorry, I was listening to some music, so I had to mute myself because I didn't want to get you demonetized. It's a shame Charles isn't wearing his Shazam or Captain Marvel costume. But I can say now, this might be sarcastic, it might not. You guys are gonna love what I'm wearing to the draft party.
What are you wearing to the draft party?
You'll have to wait. You'll have to wait and see.
It's a surprise.
Yeah, it's a surprise. But I was thinking can someone what if we like got a digital camera or something and just absolutely filled it up with photos and then at the end of the night just send it out? I reckon that could be fun.
Well, I got some good news for you, AJF. I have hired a professional photographer that will be there taking pictures throughout the night, and I'll make sure that everyone who's on Patreon will get access to the photo album with everything that we get from the draft party.
Okay, that's great. I will be bringing my camera as well, but I got to be honest, I'm scared to pass it around and stuff because I don't want to lose it. I've got way too much good shit on that thing. But yeah, no, it's going to be a great night. I'm starting to get really excited.
Let's go, AJF. Have a safe flight, all right?
I will. They better not draft that cornerback or whatever. On it, like, for me, honestly, like, I don't really care who they draft as long as they are a good player. Like, I just want them to turn out. I completely understand why you wouldn't want them to go that route because it's not a risk worth taking at this stage. New regime, first pick. You don't want to take a risk like that and risk it turn out. So me, as long as they draft someone that, you know, contributes well enough, I'm happy.
A salient take from Australian Jets fan who also calls in from the dark. Taking a page from the Beastbreaker playbook. Folks, we got an awesome raffle going right now. The top 4 prizes, and I'm planning on adding more because we got a ton of people who are going to be tuned into the show this week because of the draft. Justin Fields signed helmet, Aaron Glenn signed helmet, Curtis Martin signed helmet, and a DeBrickashaw Ferguson signed helmet. What I did just now, because we've only had, I think, 11 memberships gifted during the show, is I personally just gifted 5 memberships. Now, if you got a membership for me, I'm going to enter you in the raffle. So if you hear your name called, you're in the raffle for one. And the first person I gifted was my brother. How about that? Zach Asman in the raffle for one. Garrett in the raffle. Bobbleneck in the raffle. Mad Willie and Justin 79 in the raffle. So those 5 Asmaniacs are now in for a chance to win the DeBrickashaw helmet, the Curtis Martin helmet, the AG helmet, and the Justin Fields autograph helmet. What should the next prize be? Give me a jet you want featured in the mega raffle. Any jet. Could be a signed helmet, jersey, trading card, photo. Give me some suggestions, and I'll see what I could do this week. Ladies and gentlemen, Eric Kelly is in the Asmaniac raffle for 10. All of a sudden, it's raining channel memberships. Let's go.
I'm going to get gonorrhea and kiss on the cheek. Yeah. Oh, I got gonorrhea. Oh, my God. I got gonorrhea. Kiss my cheek. Gonorrhea. You have to have sex to have gonorrhea.
Ladies and gentlemen, the following 10 people are now channel members. Jet Jaro, Phantom, Green and White, Delusional Jet Fan, Freddie McKnight, KDG Adventures, Elton B. Gary has, no, that's wrong name there. Elton B. Cactus Johnny, Gary K. I thought you got a membership. You did not. Uno Jets, That's It Gaming, Thomas Rossi, all receiving channel memberships. For every membership gifted, I'll play some of the wackiest videos that I have saved on my many slides, like that one of Bobby talking about how he has gonorrhea. More of your calls right now. In the meantime, Papa Jet is on the line. Hello, Papa Jet.
How you doing, Jake?
What's up, Papa Jet?
Hey, can I ask you a serious question?
You could try.
Do you consider me a friend or like an old, crusty, petrified piece of shit?
I consider you a friend, just like Charles Gorman.
Okay, buddy. But anyways, last couple days there's a few people in the chat that they're really high on Genty and saying like generational talent, which the jury's still out on that because he hasn't even hit the field yet in the NFL. But I don't like that because I know they say you should pick the best player available on your board, but this year here we got like 4 major holes, I believe, in tight end, wide receiver, right tackle, and defensive tackle. So I want one of those positions in the first round,
right?
Because it's
gonna
fill a hole.
100%. Like, you can't tell me that the Jets don't have Armand Member rated high or they don't have Tyler Warren rated high. Like every person who does draft evaluation for a living, when they do their overall big board, has both of those players in their top 10. So it wouldn't even be a reach. It'd be filling a need, and you'd be able to say you stuck to your board.
Right. And any one of those positions you can draft in the first, and they're still most could be a stud. Right. So I'm not on the Genty train. And for me, the running, like for all the positions on the field, I mean, the running backs seem to hit the wall early. I think their average career is like 5 to 6 years. I mean, look when Ezekiel Elliott came out, his first two years, he kicked ass, right?
Yep. What's
he doing now? They just hit the wall too early for me to take one that high. There ain't too many Adrian Petersons out there, And then another thing I wanted to mention, I'm hoping Leonard Taylor, he showed some flashes last year, so I'm hoping he kind of steps up more this year. And if they keep Clemens, he had a good first year. I maybe with better coaching, we'll see if they keep him.
I'm amazed he's still on the team, to be honest. But
right. I think Saleh always said they're grown men. We don't have to discipline them, but I think you do. Some of them you do, because Clemens was, I don't know how many 15-yard penalties he had the last, since probably the last couple of years, anyways.
Too many.
And Jake, lastly, what would your top 3 wide receivers be? Since you've been watching the Jets.
Like my favorites, or just like the best receivers they've had?
Like they had on the Jets.
Great question. Garrett Wilson to me is one, and I'm very biased because I've gotten to actually meet him and spend 3 hours with him in a suite at a Knicks game last year. He was one of the nicest, humble athletes I've ever interacted with. So Garrett. I mean, I loved Jericho Cotchery. Loved Cotchery. That was my guy.
Yep.
And I mean, I know it was only that 1 year, but he's also been on the show too a couple times. Brandon Marshall. I'd put him right there too. But I feel guilty leaving Corbett out. I feel guilty not including Braylon Edwards.
Yeah.
It's tough. But I definitely have Garrett. I definitely have Cotchery, and then it's hard It's hard to find that last one. Like, I loved Lavernius Coles, too, when he was a Jet.
So my three are Corbett, Wesley Walker. I'm a little older, and Lavernius Coles. I loved Coles. Coles was solid.
He's a gamer, man. He was a gamer.
Yeah, he was. He just always had the right catches at the right time, and he was just tough. And you didn't hear no crap from him, you know. So it'd be nice if you get, you know, maybe keep that in mind. One of his like helmets or jerseys signed. I'd be in on it.
Lavernius Coles?
Yeah, I loved him.
I love that. I'll see what I could do.
Okay, bud. Well, maybe we'll talk to you tomorrow or after the draft, and we'll see how we did.
Papa Jet, you got it. And I'll tell you what, like there wasn't a play that like better encapsulated why I love Jericho Cotchery so much than the overtime catch he had on 4th down in Cleveland, where he ended up missing, I think, like 4 weeks after because he injured something on that play. And he still made that unbelievable catch as he's like falling down opposite direction. The beginning of the end of the Rex Ryan era was when they replaced Cotchery with Derek Mason. They never recovered from that. It destroyed the chemistry on the offense. Cotchery kept everyone in check. He was reliable for Sanchez, right? Santonio Holmes wasn't like the leader they needed in that room, I don't believe. They moved on from Braylon Edwards, replaced him with Plaxico Burress. I was the beginning of the end. Mario says that 04 team was special. They were 5-0 that year. Great podcast that Samini taped with the 2000 Jet draft class. That 04 team, if they got by Pittsburgh, they had a chance. They had a chance. That team could have won a Super Bowl. They should have beaten Pittsburgh, as we all know. That's a really tough question, though. Just name 3 of my favorite Jet receivers. Like, I feel guilty not including, I love Derek Decker, too. He was a really good Jet, a rare free agent signing on offense that panned out. It's a shame Santana Moss didn't play his whole career as a Jet. So that guy was a really good player. Joshua Toon, Marshall Wilson. Yeah, I mean, I've said it, though. I believe if Garrett Wilson plays the vast majority of his career with the Jets, he'll break every record in franchise history. He's the guy you keep. Garrett says, I honestly think the 14 squad, had they made the playoffs, had a good chance to make a run. I'm assuming you mean the 15 squad that was 10-6. I agree. They got in that year. They were the hottest team in the AFC going into the playoffs. Now, would they have won a Super Bowl? I don't know. But we've seen wildcard teams make runs before. And they were red hot. And if the third wild card existed, they would have got in at 10-6. And the playoff drought wouldn't be in year 15 right now. PBM's favorite. Edwards, Holmes, Cotchery. Yeah, I mean, tough to go wrong. Cactus Shotty, Coles, Corbett, Cotchery. I mean, Coles and Cotchery will always just have a special place in my heart. %. Also, I love Lavernius Coles, too, because him and Wayne Corbett came to the event I did in London, which was incredibly kind of them. See if I can find that photo real quick. They showed up. We invited them. They came through. They took pictures with fans. As maniacs who were there. It was awesome. Let's see if I can find that real quick. Where is this? Here it is. Stand by. Oh, hold on. I got a different picture of Corbett and I. Where is this? Let's find this. There we go. Found it. Everyone who came to the event in London, the UK Jets crew, Gangrene UK, Green Shadow, the two organizer groups that helped me put this together for fans. Just awesome. Here we go. This was from our event in London. They came through, which was awesome. John says, who is your favorite NY Jet fan celebrity? Adam Sandler all the way. I mean, the Jets have a lot of really good ones, right? Adam Sandler, Chris Rock, Larry David, Charles Gorman, James Gandolfini, Roy Romano. Have you ever been in the suites at MetLife? And I've been lucky enough to sit in the suites for a couple games in my life. They have on the wall the photos of all the celebrity Jet fans there. 50 Cent, Method Man. We're missing some big ones here. Q-Tip from A Tribe Called Quest, who's a big-time Jet fan. Trust me on that. Rick Kent, V-Man, yep. Daz says, Gangrene UK represented. You know it, Daz. Daz, a big part of that. Rockness Monster, Gandolfini. You know, the craziest play in the playoff drought that the Jets have had. Go back and watch the block punt on the 10th anniversary of 9/11 when the Jets opened the year on Sunday night against the Cowboys. The punt is blocked by Joe McKnight, and then Isaiah Trufant, I think, recovered it. Or I might have a reverse. But either way, after that play, they cut the James Gandolfini, and obviously he's no longer with us. And same thing with Joe McKnight. But, like, very eerie watching that. It's immediate. It's like you see McKnight, and then they go to Gandolfini, both of them within a few years, no longer with us. Mario says, I still have the Cowboy game in its entirety saved on my computer. I have somewhere at home where my parents are on Long Island the cover of SI that week, back when Sports Illustrated still mattered. The cover of Sports Illustrated where it was Mark Sanchez like pointing, throwing downfield after that game. See if I can find it. One of my favorite SI covers of all time. It was like kicking sweet live ass or something. Like the headline was sick. Let's see if I can find this real quick before we wrap up the show. I like going down memory lane. Remember when the Jets were good? They played meaningful games. Man, was that fun. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. There we go. One of my favorite covers of Sports Illustrated. This one with Sanchez after the win in 2011 over the Cowboys to start 1-0 that year. God, do I miss those times. Stephen T says, finished Sopranos for the first time last week. Amazing and lived up to all the expectations. To me, it's the greatest television show of all time. And I think it holds up to this day. JD says Larry David. Yeah, I think someone said Larry David earlier. Justin Timberlake. Is Timberlake a Jets fan? I don't know if he is. Daniel LaRusso. Yeah, Ralph Macchio's a Jets fan for sure. Apparently the My Pillow guy's a Jet fan too. I didn't know that. Super chat from Meadow Man. Do you think Lou Lamoriello would have given Morgan Moses a 6-year deal and re-signed Rodgers and Tyron Smith to 3-year deals? Let me say this for all the Islander fans out there. It's the right move to move on from Lou. Like, I'm surprised they did it. I actually didn't think the Islanders would do it. I just didn't see it. But let's not forget, Lou Lamoriello did far more good than bad. All right, the Islanders made the playoffs 5 times in 7 years. Imagine the Jets did that, right? Let's not forget, Lou took over right after Tavares left, and there was no hope, it felt like, as a franchise. And he came in, and he stabilized the franchise and turned them into a winner immediately. Hired Barry Trotz. And while it was time for a change, like the team had gotten stagnant, it had gone stale. You know, they needed to break up the core probably 2 years ago instead of trying to run it back to sneak into the playoffs just to lose in the first round. Lou Lamoriello did an outstanding job overall. The Islanders were one of the biggest jokes in sports. We can only hope that Darren Muji is as good at his job as Lou Lamoriello was at his for the Islanders. So, thank you, Lou. Roseanne says, Vinny Pasquantino, diehard Jets fan. Yeah, the Royals first baseman, who I message with on Twitter from time to time about the Jets. True story. I was working on trying to get him on the show. Just the timing didn't work out, and now the season's here. But I saw Vinny in person last week when the Royals were in town against the Yankees. Christopher says, Mike Greenberg, Jet fan like Rich Eisen. They're not really, like, they're big media names, but they're not. I don't consider them like celebrity Jet fans. You know, it is kind of funny, though, that the two people that host the draft for the two networks that air the draft, ESPN and NFL Network, are both real Jet fans. But I'm not, like, I don't consider Rich Eisen like a quote-unquote celebrity. Like, he's not in the Adam Sandler category or Chris Rock category. Let's see. Kevin James, yeah, he's a Jet fan. Rachel Ray's a Jet fan as well, and we know Gary loves her. That's Gary's celebrity crush, folks. Rachel Ray. He said that on this show. We'll never forget. What are you smiling at, Beast?
I'm looking at the comments. I'm seeing Eddie Van Halen. Eddie Van Halen was one of the greatest guitarists of all time, especially with Stevie Ray Vaughan, Joe Satriani, Eric Johnson, Yngwie Malmsteen. These men were great guitarists. But I'll still say to this day, no matter what anybody says, Kevin James is one of the greatest Jet fans of all time. Especially, come on, Kerry, let's go to the Jets game. Come on, really? Let's go, man.
Hey, Beast,
come on.
let me ask you this. So Kevin James played a mall cop in the film Paul Blart. Some have said you remind them of Paul Blart with your now police officer identity. You haven't seen the film?
No, I've watched Running Man, Total Recall, and also Terminator 2. I've also watched Vampires. That's a John Carpenter movie, and also got the chance to watch other great classics like Willy Wonka and also Spinal Tap from 1984. Great Spinal Tap. And,
so you don't consider yourself a mall cop. You couldn't see yourself riding around on like the scooter in the mall.
No, not like that. Not like that. I'd rather do something more like wearing one of these bad boys to a show. You know what I'm talking about. The man's jacket. You know what I mean by the man's jacket. Read them and wait. Look at the caliber, look at the championship quality. There's your champions right there. Slayer, Creator, Kitty, Bodum, Thurion, Venom, Demi effing Borga, Destruction, Dear sorry. These are champions. Look at everything you see here. Everything you see here. Even this, don't tread on me. This is one of the greatest. Nightwish. And there's so many of them on here. That's where the world is the best. You want the best? You see it all. Hello, PBM, Mr. UFC himself. What do you see here? What do you see here? Tell me, PBM, what do you see?
I see a jean jacket with spikes on it.
Not just spikes. This is my first one I built. This is a $200 one that I built.
Is that 2 jackets together?
No, this is all one. One only.
Is it patches on there, or what do you got on there?
AC/DC, except Pan effing Terra, Death, Leopard, Iron Maiden, and the best of the best, Judas effing Priest.
You get the out.
What's going on, Mike?
That was something. That was something for sure.
I thought you were going to call him out on being a fake cop, so I gave you the floor there.
Yeah, I did that earlier, and then I was letting it go. It's fine. You know what? We should ask him. Do you know what the Fourth Amendment is? Is he still on?
Beast, do you know what the Fourth Amendment is?
Do you know what the Fourth Amendment is?
I have to go and pull it up out of my department, but right now
You don't need to pull it up at no department. It's the Constitution. It's the most important amendment in law enforcement. Fourth Amendment: no illegal searches and seizures, deadly force policies.
Yes, I know that. You know what time it is for me? Ooh. You know what this means? He stinks! It's shower time. Time to go to the showers. You know what that means? Time to hit the shower.
Oh God.
Oh no, Beast.
Oh, no.
Put it away. No, Beast.
No, it's time to go hit the showers because you know why? It's time, as you once said, he stinks. So time to shower up, boys.
Did you get this approved from the shower department?
No, it's time for me to go shower because I checked myself. Ooh, hello. You know what I mean by hello? Woo-hoo. Shower time. Hit the showers. Yeah, so next time. Oh, yeah. Next time, boys.
Thunderlips wants some jumping jacks, Beast.
Fine. You're only going to get a few, sonny boy.
Oh boy.
Got it, baby. Hey, I might be big, but I look good. I don't care what people think of me. I'm just my own self. Now, time to hit the showers. Now, wear some boxes. I need some good stuff here.
Hey, Gator, you're welcome.
You get the out.
You're welcome, Gator. That was all for you.
I got no words.
Anything else you got, Mike? I'm about to end this show here. I got one last caller on hold.
The only defensive player that we should take at 7 is Mason Graham.
He's not my preference, but I can't criticize that.
I won't get mad if they take him. I'm not
exactly.
walking out if we take him. But if we take Baron or some of these jabronis, no. I don't want him. I don't want anybody on the defense if it's not Mason Graham at 7. If we move back, then maybe we'll figure it out. I'm not going to be as mad, but I don't know. We'll see.
I agree. To me, it would be a horrible start for this new regime to take a corner at 7.
Terrible. But we'll see. See what happens.
All right, we're now going live to the shower. No, I'm just kidding. Mike, thanks for the PVM, everybody. All right, here we go. One last call here. Live from New York, it's Nate on a bike.
What's up, Jake? Can you hear me?
Oh, we hear you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
It's a beautiful day today, by the way.
Yeah, it's beautiful. That guy just called me an asshole for going through the crosswalk. Like, right.
Where are you going?
I'm going to see the hottest team in baseball.
Oh, we're going to Queens, baby.
12th home game in a row. We're 11-1 at Mets games this year. Why stop?
So you bike from where you are to Queens?
Yeah, Upper West Side to Queens, baby. It takes me like 35 minutes door to door, and then you lock it up right outside the right field gate and then walk right in. It's really a beautiful thing. Yeah, it's really.
You have an electric bike, obviously, right?
I have an e-bike. Yeah, I'm absolutely cheating now. As of January, I joined the e-bike gang, even though I still have my 2 or 3 pedal bikes at home. And I'm selling a titanium mountain bike. If anyone in the chat is interested in a Lynxy TI 29-incher, DM me. But yeah, I was also you looked bored. on my way to the game, so I figured I'd call in. You had that memory about the Dallas Cowboys home game.
Yep.
I want to say it was Marquise Cole. Maybe the chat or someone can check it. I want to say Joe McKnight blocked it, and then I see Marquise Cole with like his dreads coming out the helmet, scoring the touchdown, number 34. I could be wrong because I know Trufant had some big plays too, but in my head it was Marquise Cole. But I don't know. I was thinking back to that game and that like era of Jets football, right, where we never put a ring on our fingers and we never won. But there's so many memories I have from that time. Like I remember being at that game with my dad. That was the home opener against Dallas, and 2 years before that against New England, Rex Ryan's first year, where he left a voicemail and we beat Tom Brady at home with Mark Sanchez. Like nobody thought Mark Sanchez was the next Tom Brady, but it was just like it gave me that vision of myself at the home opener this year. And like, why not Justin Fields throwing for 2 and running for 2, and all of us in our heads saying, we've got our guy. You know what I'm saying? Because I remember leaving the stadium. Both the Cowboys game, Sanchez didn't have a good game. The defense, and I think Revis had a back shoulder kick on Dez Bryant. That was the game where Cromartie, I think, started out on Dez, and it wasn't working out so well. It was when they had Miles Austin too, and then they switched the matchup, and then on a back shoulder, I think Dez had like a hurt hammy, and Revis made a great play to then led to a Nick Folk, who's I think on a lot of Jets fans' radar as the next kicker, led to a Nick Folk game-winning field goal. But like, why not us?
Yeah,
why not get excited? And I feel the same about the draft on Thursday when I hear, like, I know the last caller, Mike, was talking about, oh, if it's not this, then I'm gonna be mad. Like, let's be excited for anyone. Like I hate the fact that a QB is possible, but if they take Shador or they take Jackson Dart, I'm in every Dolphins chat and we're in every New England chat. Shout out Knobcraft. And it's the next prime time. Like we got our man. We're Jets fans. Like what else do we know? Unless you're literally Dom C and you spent your whole winter and spring scouting players 12 hours a day, you have no reason to be mad. If we take Genty, call him next Saquon, and he'll carry us to a Super Bowl. We take the next Shador. All right, we got prime time at QB. Like whoever it is, I'm all behind at this point. We're a team that won 5 games. We have no right to say, oh, we get a right tackle, and that's how we win a Super Bowl. Let's get the. I've been preaching it, but whoever they think is the best player available at the position that they see fit, I'm 100% behind. And I guess now that we're 48 hours away from the Jake Asman event, you still got tickets, Jake?
We have about 20 something left. Yep.
20 tickets left. So secure your tickets, your flights. I know Jay. Shout out 3 Sibs. He was trying to make it work. I got an open bed at the apartment if you need somewhere to crash. Make it happen. Get to the draft party. Like, I don't know. Will McDonald last year, we all would have booed that pick, right? Because nobody knew who that player was. And then he had 10 sacks for us. Like, D. Milner, I thought he was the next Darrelle Revis. I was like, perfect. Revis is retiring. Now we got D. Milner. The most garbage top 5. I think it was a top 5 pick, maybe? Top 10 pick? Whatever. One of the worst picks in Jets history. So, whoever it is, I'm all behind. Go Mets. Go Jets. And I'll see you are we 48 hours away? 48 hours and 14 minutes, Jake. I'll see you then.
Ladies and gentlemen, Nate on his way to Queens to watch the New York Mets.
You get the out.
Man, couple of things. It was Isaiah Trufant. A couple people looked it up, so I was right. McKnight blocked it. Trufant recovered it on that particular play. And I encourage every Jet fan, if you want to relive good times, type in that game on YouTube. NFL Films mic'd up both sidelines that night. And there's audio of Revis versus Dez Bryant. And this was like prime Dez versus prime Revis. And it's one of the best receiver corner battles. It's awesome. Lee Van says, I've been looking for that Jet hat for a year. I believe, Lee, I got this off the Jets website a year ago. So that's where I think I got this from. But as far as that game, the NFL mic'd up of that is incredible. I'm amazed from where Nate is. It's only 35 minutes to Citi Field on the e-bike. Because if I wanted to go to Citi Field, I don't live that far from Nate. It's a couple. That's the thing. Getting to Citi Field, growing up on Long Island, it was way easier to get to Citi Field than Yankee Stadium. But now that I live in Manhattan, it is so much easier to get to Yankee Stadium. Citi Field, you got to take 2 subway lines, and the 7's a pain in the ass. Way easier. Yankee Stadium's easy. Either take the D or take the 4, you're there. We also know Nate, as Jay is pointing out, is going 85 miles per hour. Imagine Nate gets arrested, gets pulled over. Mid Jake Asman show call. Tom Hayes, Nate breaking all the bike laws. Yeah. PBM says, Jake, you need to watch The Last of Us. I've never seen it. I'm trying to finish Suits right now. That's the show I'm currently watching. Once I get through that, I don't know what I'm doing next. Let's see. A couple more comments here. Nick Shine says Rivas was so nasty that game. His shit talk was greater than his play. I mean, you talk about a corner dominating a game. That was one of Rivas' best games. It was incredible. Because the thing is, Rivas' greatness, so often he wouldn't get opportunities to do anything. It's like he would just shut down half the field. Like, I always go back, prime Reggie Wayne, prime Peyton Manning, his last game ever as a Colt. 1 catch, 1 yard. 1 catch, 1 yard in that playoff game where the Jets beat the Colts. Reggie Wayne's stat line. It was insane. And people don't realize how good Rivas was. I didn't watch him. You had to watch it every game like we did to appreciate it. He got robbed of Defensive Player of the Year in 2009. He maybe didn't have the longest prime of some of his contemporaries, some other all-time corners. If you want to say, Dion was greater for longer, for example, that's fine. But I am telling you, there has never been any corner that played his position at a higher level in his respective prime than Darrelle Revis did. Period. He is the best player I've ever watched the Jets have. At his best, he is one of the greatest defensive football players of all time. He didn't have the longest prime, right? When it fell off pretty quick. But from 2008 to 2011 with the Jets, there was not a corner ever, I believe, that played the position at a higher level. And unlike Dion, Revis could tackle. He was an elite tackler. He wasn't good at tackling. He was great at that. It almost gets forgotten how good of a tackler he was because of the Revis Island mantra, because he wouldn't get opportunities to really make plays. But like at his best, I think Revis is the best to ever play corner. He was that special. You had to watch it, though. You really can't appreciate a corner unless you're watching it every game. But the 2009 corner season he had, everyone knows the graphic from that season associated with it. You see it all the time on social media. Greatest defensive corner season I've ever seen. How he didn't win Defensive Player of the Year that year is crazy to me. Look at the receivers they shut down that year. Also, 2010, great Revis game. Revis versus Calvin Johnson, prime Megatron in Detroit. Man. All right. Why don't we end on that? A high note for the Jets for a change. Hey, maybe if the Jets do draft a corner, Jadai Baron will be just as good. Yeah, how's that for positivity? Ugh. On that note, thank you all for watching. I am planning on doing a very early show tomorrow. So if you missed the announcement, I'm filling in for Michael K on ESPN New York tomorrow. That's from 1 to 3, but I got to get to the station early, so I can't do the normal show. So if I do a show in the morning, it will be earlier than normal. Check the Discord for updates, and then I'll be live when I get done with radio in the late afternoon tomorrow. Will Parkinson is expected to join me then. But tomorrow, if you listen on the radio, I'm going to have Damian Woody on the show and Connor Rogers. Plus, if you're a Knicks fan, I'll talk plenty about the Knicks-Pistons series. We'll talk about the latest with the Giants and their pick at 3. Yankees are in action right now. They'll be in action when I'm on tomorrow, so we'll keep you posted on both the Yankees and the Mets. It's on 10:50 a.m. tomorrow because the Mets are playing with the flagship for the Mets and the ESPN New York app. So that's the best way to listen if you want to hear me from 1 to 3 tomorrow on the radio. On that note, thank you all, and I will talk to you guys soon. I end the show with a message to this great audience, and that message is simple. You ready? Go Jets.
Oh, my bad, everybody.
So we're going to get into all of it here. Again, my name is Paul Eston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. We come 2 hours after every final whistle here for the post-game show. And I'm going to be honest. The only good thing that happened to me late tonight, early this morning, was making sweet, passionate love to my fiance, which I did after the article was written and that kind of stuff. That's the only good thing that happened. Not great. Terrible.